Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Tonight. Hello, everybody. Space Out Radio. I'm so excited to be here. I'm ready to take y'all on a mysterious journey on a weeknight. Okay. We welcome you to Space Out Radio. We're right here on the Space Out Radio's YouTube channel and on Facebook. If you guys haven't hit subscribe yet, please do. We would love to have you guys. Y'all can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, at Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. You guys can find me at thecryptidhuntress.com, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel, The Cryptid Huntress, and visit my shop, War Woman Goods, if y'all get a chance, okay? And I would love to have y'all there. And also, I have a Patreon for your viewing pleasure. Please become a member of that. I would love for y'all to join me there, okay? I have a fantastic set of guests tonight here at Spaced Out Radio for us. I have Stephen and Evan Strong, straight out of Australia. Okay, I want you guys to please join us in Vegas at the Vegas Spaced Out Radio fan party. Okay, that is going to be May the 19th through the 21st. And if you have not gotten your tickets yet, y'all go ahead and please get those now. And let us know if you're coming, okay? The VIP tickets, I believe they're $100, and you get a swag bag and all sorts of fun stuff, and that's included in that, and a VIP party as well. So I'm going to be there. The Cryptid Hunters will be there, okay? And we're going to have a really good time. We've got a lineup of some amazing guests. We're going to be broadcasting live from the Golden Nugget. All right, so y'all, if you're coming and getting a VIP ticket, please send an email to info@spacedoutradio.com, okay? And we'll see y'all there. And also, if y'all want to come to the Journey to Truth conference, I'm going to be speaking there. And if you're in Georgia, come to the Georgia Bigfoot conference. I'm going to be speaking there too on April the 1st. That's in about 2 weeks. All right. Let's get to our guest tonight because we have so much to talk about. All right. Stephen and Evan Strong are authors, researchers, progressive archaeohistorians, speakers, and our Alien Ancestry Conference founders. In consultation with the elders of Australia, Stephen and Evan Strong believe they have rediscovered a hidden history, the Out of Australia theory. They have written 5 books, Constructing a New World Map, Mary Magdalene's Dreaming, Forgotten Origin, Shunned, Out of Australia, Between a Rock and a Hard Place, an interview with an alien that rewrites the history of Australia and the world. Their book's main brief is to prove through scientific fact that which elders insist is true. They have assembled facts about archaeological finds and the early contact accounts, genetics, serpent myths, dreaming stories, Amerindian myths, parallels in religious texts, and one coherent theory. Unlike the authorities in one field who are limited in their specialty, they draw on the disciplines together and attempt to resolve the confusion. Then to top it off, there's a huge amount of archaeology they've discovered that has definite alien imprints. Oh my gosh, and we're going to be talking about that tonight. Please help me welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight, Mr. Stephen and Evan Strong. And we also have Dirty Filth in the house tonight doing some artwork for us. Welcome, guys.
Thank you for asking us along.
Thank you.
We really like the idea we've got a resident artist. That's something we've never done before. We're looking forward to that.
That's you know, right? Filth is not. He's not able to do art on my show on the weekends, but I wish he would because it is a great addition to every show. It adds a little pizzazz, I think. Yeah, it does. Well, thank y'all for joining us from Australia. I know these time zones can get kind of weird and get a little wonky, but we made it happen tonight. So thank you guys so much. I am so interested in the out of Australia theory that you guys have. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, it's based around pure science, and actually starts with the people who came up with a molecular clock. That was Can and Wilson, wasn't it?
Yep.
Way back about 20 years ago, when they came up with this clock about the whole of humanity, beginning in Africa. Both of these two guys made this particular theory and was picked up by everyone. But what people don't know is soon after, both of them at different times, both Rebecca Caird and Alan Wilson recanted and said, no, we got it wrong. It began in Australia. So that was the base that we started our research on. And what we found as we looked at this in more detail is that the original people have been in Australia now for hundreds of thousands of years, if not millions. And the whole concept of us coming from one place in Africa has fallen apart. And it's interesting because of recent research where we've now found up to 16 different hominids. Going back at least 1 million years now, we've got evidence in Europe in about 800,000 years ago of Denisovans and Neanderthals walking the plains then. All of it's falling apart. And what people don't fully understand is we've been told the Africans were the first people. Mm-hmm. What's interesting about that is that the Africans do not have any Neanderthal genes in them. They don't have Denisovan genes in them. They've just got purely African genes. Yet they're supposed to be the first. And that doesn't fit in.
You would assume the first person would have all
the different genes and be the precursor of where we come from. And the group that have the most are the original people.
So they have a strong Denisovan connection.
Yeah, they have Denisovan genes. I'm 4.7% jet Denisovan. We have Neanderthal genes, and we have strands of gene that no one have actually identified to this day.
Yeah, they just say it's unknown.
They call it unknown. And the original people, all of our dreaming stories are about us coming from this country. So our situation is we work for elders, and we were given ceremony by elders, and we work under their province. They're the ones who tell us where we can go. We wait until we're asked to go on the country. We're not funded by the government. We're not funded by universities. And what we do is we do the elders' bidding. And what they've done over the last 15 years is give up secrets and stories to this day that were never given up. So that's primarily where we come from. And the base of that is that our people went out to the rest of the world a long, long time ago and spread their genes. And so they're everywhere on this planet.
So what we look at is their influences in different countries, South America, North America, Central America, India, those kind of places. We look for the similarities. And then funny enough, as the years have gone by, a lot of the mainstream scientists and academics have come up with the same conclusion. They've worked out that there are Amazonian tribes.
That's right. Yeah, there was a study there. It was done by, who was it? David Reich, and 6 universities over 3 years. They analysed the mitochondrial DNA of 2 Amazonian tribes that only married with each other. And they kept their genes pure. And they figured if we look at them, we'll find the beginning of the races in America. And it's a very good idea. This includes small universities like Harvard. Okay, it's not these make-believe paper ones. These are proper universities. And I remember David Wright's commentary. He said, we tried again and again to make the answer go away. The one we got, we didn't expect. And he said, but every time we did, the answer became stronger and stronger. And what they found is the closest genetic match to these people in the Amazon were the Australian original people, the people of Papua New Guinea, and Australia was part of New Guinea to 8,000 years ago, and the Andaman Islands, and they're original too. So what we found there and what they said in the finish was, no, we did not come from Asia. The first people came from Australia. So there is a lot of research around that proves that the beginning of the story of humanity about coming out of Africa is incorrect. Now, what is really important in this story is if you look at the dreaming stories of the original people, there is one dreaming story, the only one, that can be found in every of the 500 different language groups in Australia, because all dreaming stories are region specific. And that story is called The Seven Sisters from the Pleiades. And we believe our ancestry is partially off-world. So if you start to believe the story of the original people being the first people, then you start to have to look at our history. And we are insistent that our people, and my elders always say, our brothers and sisters are the Pleiadians. So there's a double edge to this story. If we are correct in the genes that have been found at the moment and the research that's been done, and there's research all over the world. I mean, in India, I think it was about 6 years ago, they did a genetic study in the south of India and found 9 people there that only had original Aboriginal genes in them. And they made the point, this is a gene signature that's not Indian, but Australian Aboriginal. So when you look around the world, you can go to Japan, and the first people there were called the Ainu. And they look so Aboriginal, it's not funny. And if you look around the world, you will find, and particularly in America, Dr. Walter Neves, what does he have, 55 skulls?
Yes.
Original skulls that are found there, and some are 25,000 years old. So going around the world, there is a commonality here. This story about us coming out of Africa 250,000 years ago is wrong, and Australia is the beginning place. So that's the first part of this story we've worked around.
Wow, that's amazing. That changes everything. It changes a lot. And it absolutely does. And they actually moved out around the world. So they didn't just stay in Australia. These skulls have been found in America, North America.
North America and South America, particularly in South America, there's 55 skulls and 255 skeletons that have been found there. In North America, in Baja, California, there's a woman there called Penon Woman, and Sylvia Gonzalez said it's Aboriginal. You can go to the oldest Homo sapien found in Asia, which is about 10,500 years. What's the cave, Evan?
Which one?
Penon.
The one in Asia.
Yeah. Oh, look,
it's in Malaysia. Yeah.
There's a cave there, and it's 12,000 years old, and it is original. You will find now they're finding skulls, they're finding mitochondrial DNA of original people around the world. You take the Denisovans. Now, the Denisovans are a hominid that was around from 770,000 years to 12,000 years, and it's found through the whole of Asia and Europe. Then why is it the people who've got the highest count of Denisovan genes are found in Australia? The Australian original people. I'm 4.7. I'm 1/20th to this day still Denisovan. And the problem with this is, the story we've been told is Africans came to Australia around 50,000 years, a couple of them in a boat, and no one came and no one left past that point. If that's the case, why am I 4.7% Denisovan? That doesn't make sense. Unless we traveled to all other parts of the world, and when we travel, as humans tend to be, sometimes they become quite amorous. And in my case, definitely, my ancestors became very amorous with the Denisovans. I wouldn't be 4.7 today unless that had happened.
Oh my goodness. That it's just mind blowing to me. This is absolutely mind blowing, and you guys have done your research, and most likely traveled all over the place. Now, what part of Australia do you live in?
Well, we live on the east coast. We live near a place called Byron Bay, which is quite famous in Australia because it's sort of like what you call, I suppose it's the alternate hippie sort of centre of Australia. It's a bit like, say, Woodstock. So.
What have you got over there? Sedona or
Okay.
that kind of area?
Portland?
Portland.
Yeah. So
the people, are your friends and people there very open minded about all of this? And what do the other people think in your circle?
It's a mixed bag.
Yeah.
It's a mixed bag, honestly. Around here, yes, people are open to what we talk about. The original people are open to what we talk about, but we have a filing cabinet full of letters from the Australian and New South Wales government threatening to put me in jail. I have had heaps and heaps of these threats. I've had phone calls, hundreds of emails saying the same thing. So yes, some people are very open, but when it comes to the top level of government, no, no, they're not very happy with what we're doing. Particularly when we found a skull, which we know is not, it's not hominid, it's not sapien, it's definitely off-world. When we found that skull, the letters ramped up, didn't they?
All right, let me try to find that skull.
Oh, we'll do that later when it comes up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine. Here in the States, there's certain things that will get us censored and we're not really allowed to talk about, on certain platforms and things like that. A lot of my friends and people I know, and myself included, we have had social media platforms shut down for talking about certain things that...
yeah, us too. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's happened to us. Yeah, we've had that.
So it happened to you too. I'm not the only one.
Oh, yeah. We've had an ASIO agent, which is like the CIA since 2015. And he actually trains counter-terrorism for the New South Wales Police, and he's considered a very unpleasant human being. Since 2015, he's been a permanent accompaniment to whatever we do. Our phones are bugged, the whole thing. It's par for the course here.
Well, there's a vested interest in keeping this kind of stuff covered up, and I do a lot of research, and I do several live shows a week, and my favorite topics are giants and hidden history right now, because we have a lot of hidden history here in America as well, as far as giants and things like that go. And ancient Egyptian settlements here in the United States, stuff that's not in the history books and it's not supposed to have happened, So I find this amazing, and I think you guys have had some Egyptian settlements in Australia as well.
Yeah, we have. Look, in fact, we've got to the stage with the Egyptian story. We were quite involved in for quite some time until it got to the stage where we got so overwhelmed with information that to an extent we lost interest in it, didn't we, Evan? Yeah, there is so much Egyptian stuff here. Yes. Artifacts we've got, places we've been to where, the government's covering that up. That goes without saying. But it's sort of got to the stage now where, for about 5 or 6 years, we're fully involved in that. And we realised that we could only go so far with it because the government was so keen to dismiss it. We've been to a place called the Glyphs. I've probably been there 40 times. I could close my eyes and basically tell you where there's 300 glyphs in the order in and what they look like. And they were carved into the rocks there. We found artifacts. Auntie Minnie Mace found 2 artifacts there, didn't she?
Now, I do have photos of those.
Let me get them. Okay, Evan's going to show you a photo of the 3 artifacts, actually, and he'll show you the first one there now, if he's going to put it up.
Okay. Right, let me go down here.
Okay.
Share screen, window. All right,
let me pull that up.
Yep.
Here we go.
Okay. All right, okay. Well, this is what, I'll tell you the story with this. Auntie Minnie Mace is a highly respected elder, and I said before, we only go on country when our elders give us permission. She found this object, and it was covered in dirt, and the spirits told her to pick it up, and it was found next to the Gosford Glyphs. It's the least interesting of the 3, and it's a femur bone. And she asked us, and she thought it was, and we actually took it to a local base hospital. And I rang the head of the fractured unit and told him about this bone that could be the bone of the son of Khufu, Nefertari. But we're not sure. And I said, would you have a look at it? He said, I'd love to have a look. So I went and showed it to him, and he looked at it. He said, that's a femur bone. It's the top of a femur bone. And it's ancient. He said, but I can't do more than that because it's not my speciality. I normally work with bones that are still functioning.
Inside people.
He said, but if you went and got it done by the CAT scan unit, they could confirm whether it's got the density of a human bone. I said, well, that's fine, but I don't have the money for that because that would take a lot of money. He said, don't worry about it. He got on the phone.
We'll sort this out.
And he spoke to some people there. And on Monday morning, the CAT scan unit was closed down. When I went in there were 6 guys wearing white suits, which I figure from shampoo commercials means they must be. scientists, and they put the bone underneath a CAT scan, and they said to me, look, since the patient won't mind, we're going to give it 6 times the normal dose. I said, well, I was pretty sure the patient's not going to complain about this, and they did. And in the end of it, after about 15 minutes, they sat around for 15 minutes talking about it, and they gave me a floppy disk, which I've lost since because that's old-fashioned technology. It was quite some time ago. And they told me 2 things. They said it's ancient and it has the same density as a human bone, but they couldn't date it. So that was the first one. Now, that could be the bone of Nefertari, because on the glyphs, there are 2 sections there. One which is written purely in Egyptian, has got a 90% match to Proto-Egyptian, and that talks about Nefertari being bitten by a snake twice and dying and being buried there. So to find a bone there would fit in. But it's the next 2 objects that were given to us that really are interesting. Now, Auntie Minnie picked up 2 objects. This one here was completely covered in dirt, and when she took it home, it took half an hour for her to clear the dirt off, and this is what she found. Now, if you look at the bottom corner, you'll see the beginning of a round circle there. That originally was a complete clasp that her daughter wore at a doof and broke it. Now, I want to make a point. When you find an archaeological object that's 5,000 years old, would you please not take it to doofs and then damage it? But irrespective of that, it was made from metal. Now, you've got to remember, Australia, until Cook came and the British invaded Australia, was stick, stone and bone technology, so there shouldn't be metal here. Now, what happened with this thing is the head of the science department of Southern Cross Uni, and I can use his name. His name is Graham Lancaster. He begged me, he looked at it and held it once and said, I want to analyse this. But to do this, I have to cut a little bit off. I said, well, I'm going to have to ask Auntie Minnie Mace about this first. And I asked her and she gave permission, so we gave permission to cut it. Now, we knew by picking it up and feeling it, it felt like aluminium, and 73% of it was. So what happened was they got a drill bit out, and I was there at the time, and when they drilled it, it bounced off. And Graham gave this guy, Mark, he gave him daggers look, saying, what are you doing? He said, boss, this is what you work for aluminium. They ended up getting the hardest drill bit they had. It was tungsten tipped. I think it had a diamond thing on it and stuff like that before they could cut a piece off. And the analysis is what is really interesting, because it was 73% aluminium, 3% copper, and 24% they could not identify.
Ooh,
They went through he told me they went through every process imaginable and could not identify what it was. What he did tell me was that whatever this object was, it made the aluminium stronger than steel. And he said, if you could find it, we could make billions out of it. Now, we know where it came from, and you're not going to find it on this planet because we've got 3 other objects that have come up with the same reading. Now, what's really interesting about this is the 3% copper to 73% aluminium. That is not the alloy of today. We use between 10 to 12%. You have to go back to past 3,000 years where they use between 2 to 4% copper in an aluminium alloy. So that dates it to an extent. But when that was happening, there wasn't 24% that didn't fit in. So that particular artifact, yes, it could have been worn by Nefertari, and we've been told by others it was.
Yeah, there is precedence of pharaohs and sons and daughters of pharaohs wearing necklaces that are of tektites, of meteorites, of off-world materials. So it is a trend amongst that royalty to do that. But
in this case, they were picking this up as a metal. They were very clear it was a metal. It was bonded to the other metal. They could see it, and they knew. But 1/4 of this wasn't sitting in. What they found was, whatever this is, and he's told me this many times, he was very clear in there, and he said it's not from this planet. Now, I've got to tell you, he's one of the top experts. He goes around the world doing presentations. He runs a science laboratory there with 38 scientists. He's the head scientist. And they stand by what they've said, and he said, you can give my name to anyone. They do not know what it is except that it's not from this world, whatever was there. It's not on the periodic table. It does not exist. He told me it's not an oxide. He told me all the things they look for. It's not from there. But the interesting part of this story was that particular alloy was found by Yarny Mini Mace. But the story's not finished. Next to the Gosford Glyphs, at the other side of the tunnel. Now, I've got to be very careful here. This is another piece of metal. It's exactly the same piece of metal as the first one. But notice what's embedded inside it. Crystal. Now, when did we, as humans, start embedding crystal with metals? In the last 50 years. This was found well beneath the surface. Now, being national parks and wildlife, we believe it was found by a metal detector, don't we, Evan?
Yeah, apparently.
We heard that story because it's against the law. So believe me, we have nothing to do with this. I want to make this point clear. We heard this story from the gentleman who did it. We didn't know he was doing it, did we, Evan?
No.
Oh, no, we knew nothing about this.
He just dropped it in our hands afterwards.
And he just gave it to us and said, I found this deep within this, underneath the ground, found with a metal detector. You had to bury down to find it. So the question with this one is, you've got one piece of metal like this that's been found and analysed. This one we haven't had analysed yet because we know it's exactly the same metal. Trust me, I'll put it next to one another. But what's the crystal doing inside and what function did it serve? This one's not a pendant. It's broken off from something else. So what we're finding around the carry-on glyphs, the Gosford glyphs, are artifacts that validate it. And I've got to make the point, at that glyph site, the most commonly found glyph there, which is caused by the public, not by us, they call it the UFO glyph. And there are 8 of them. And they run across the 3 walls there. They're in different spaces all the way through. It's a common glyph that's found all the way through, the most common one there. We believe that story's got 2 stories. One about the Egyptians coming 4,600 years ago. That's fine. Evans now put up one of those.
I didn't get there in time. You beat me.
I put
Right.
It's me.
There are 8 of those. And we believe that the other 2 walls are more a story about the Pleiadians coming here, not the Egyptians. That's a smaller panel. The other 2 walls, which are much larger, and they only have a 43% match up to Proto-Egyptian, whereas the first wall was 92%. And we've got the manual on Proto-Egyptian. I went through the whole thing. We believe the Egyptians came here to learn hieroglyphs, and this is our ancient language, and within it, you've got all these UFO glyphs, and down on the ground, you've got on the one side, you've got the first one we saw, which was the pendant, and on the other side, you've got another piece of metal, which we know they're not going to get a full identification to, with a crystal wrapped inside. So what we're looking at there, ladies and gentlemen, is an opinion, which is we believe this is a story, but beneath it, we have one, an ancient bone that's very ancient, perhaps 4,600 years old, and then 2 other artifacts that aren't even Egyptian. Because remember one other thing, we're talking about aluminium. Bauxite in Egypt doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. So you can't say, oh, no, the Egyptians knocked it up and they took a bit of meteor that had a metal inside it and threw it in there. No, it doesn't work like that because we've got the crystal where we've got the metal formed up into something again. So between those 2 objects and plus the bone, we believe that we have archaeology that validates, number one, that those glyphs were cut in there. And there's a real argument about how they were cut in, isn't there, Evan?
Oh, yeah.
A huge argument because if you try a chisel on there, it'll crumble. It's sandstone. We believe it was done with laser. So that's rather radical anyway. But here's the point. We've got artifacts there that aren't from this planet. So why couldn't they have used laser? If they can find one metal that can take aluminium to make it stronger than steel, surely if that was around on this planet right now and someone else did it, they would have used it.
So there's a bit of a perspective of where it is.
Yeah.
There's the walls.
There's the walls. There's 3. And eventually, to begin with, there was a lid above the walls.
There's a little bit left up on top.
Yeah, on the top there. That's the one, the Egyptian one. And Arnie Bev Spears, the last full descent darking on person, she told us the story about how the women would go to those caves every couple of years, wouldn't they, Evan?
Yes.
And this might sound a little bit, we're going to tell them what they did, aren't we? What they would do is they would go to the glyphs and coat it in women's urine.
Oh, okay.
You didn't expect that, did you?
No, I was not expecting that. Now, what would be the purpose in that?
To keep them clean. Because when people
Okay.
looked at them, some of them look like they don't look 4,600 years old. They look brand new. But you've got to remember, when you walk between the walls, you'll find there was a ceiling above it that sealed the whole thing off. And we have a stat deck that was given to us in 1956 of a young lady who was 9 at the time that went there with her uncle who was the head of National Parks and Wildlife, and they went inside a cave, and he told them never to tell anyone about this. This is Egyptian. And by the way, the government now claim it's just a fake. It was done by someone they called a deranged Czech of less intelligence. Now, some of these glyphs are 5 meters off the floor. And they said he walked in there with a hammer, no chisel, and did the whole thing. It's a lie. It's a ridiculous lie because it's Proto-Egyptian, and Proto-Egyptian was only discovered. The first manual was made in 1997, and we have it. And it was done with Ray Johnson and Dr. Dia Abu Ghazi, who's the head of the Cairo Antiquities. They did it together.
There you go.
Oh, here's the manual. I'm holding it up now. We've got the original manual we worked off. Now, the point with this is, the claim was in 1975, this deranged Czech walked inside and did this. Well, in 1975, no one knew about Proto-Egyptian. It's impossible.
So, I mean, that's someone taking a photo of the top, but you could fit maybe 2 or 3 people before you get to the roof.
Yeah.
To get up the top would be pretty
You
hard.
need scaffolding, you need ladders, you need people holding the ladders, you need chisels, and then you need a manual because it makes a story. And the manual wasn't made until 2000.
I probably should have seen if Giorgio there wanted to sit on top of my shoulders.
Oh, that's Giorgio, isn't it? Oh, yeah, he came along from Ancient Aliens and they filmed that.
I've seen that. Yes.
Eric von Däniken, when he came and looked at it, he looked at me and said, anyone that says this is 50, 100, 200 years old is an absolute idiot. He said, look at the different forms of algae growing there. He said, I can determine 5 different forms of algae, and some take hundreds of years to get to this level. How would they think it's possible for all this different algae be growing inside the cuts when it is ancient? Why would they be saying this? They're idiots. We've taken Graham Hancock to this site. We've taken Georgia. And what Billy Carson's made a fantastic comment. He did, look at the beautiful symmetry. Well, all of these things are symmetrical after each other, didn't he?
That's right.
All these different people have looked at it and they've agreed the same thing. This is a legitimate site. And of course, the beauty of it is it confirms 2 things. The Egyptians, which, by the way, we've got lots of other Egyptian stuff. We've got engravings of Egyptian god of inheritance. We've got Isis. We've got Osiris. We've got all that stuff. It's sort of like old hat now. But the important part of that story is that, yes, one side's about the Egyptians, but there are others that aren't. Yeah, there's one that Evan's just got up here.
I'll just get these up now.
Okay.
Oh, not that.
Yeah, we went to a cave. We were taken there by the senior park ranger, and he went to show us an Ankh, and he said, this is the oldest engraving on the platform, and we had to wait all day.
No, I'm coming to the
there it is, right. We had to wait all day for this, for the sun to come out, and we watered it, and then we placed it in. And what you'll see there is down the bottom, there's a symbol for an Ankh, and inside it is the footprint of an ibis. Now, people may know this, that Thoth was the one who carried the Ankh, and one of his 2 totems is that of the ibis. So we don't think it's a coincidence. And
there'll be some ibis-headed men. There's one in Dampier, which is in WA, and there's one in that local area as well.
Yeah.
So.
And notice these ones are done in profile. Original people never do profile. We do both eyes. That particular one there is a cross between an ibis head, and underneath the bottom part there is Duramulin, the son of Byami, who's the first sky hero. And he had a club foot, so they've joined the 2 together. And it's clearly a male. I won't go into the reason why I'm sure that is the case, but I can tell you now that is a male. And yeah, look, there's plenty. There is so much Egyptian hieroglyphs, so many rock engravings of different stories there. We've got We've got the story of Isis and Osiris, and Osiris being cut up, and then we call it and then Ngulba, bringing him back to life again and reassembling him, all those things. Evan's just got a picture up of mummies that have been found in Australia.
I'll put them up now.
We found 17 different forms of mummification in Australia. The one that Evan's going to show you here is a mummified child that was found by Herman Klatch in 1903. His book came out in 1923. And he was talking about the fact that there are so many forms of mummification here. And they used to extract the brain with a hook, a stone hook, a bone hook, which is what the Egyptians did. And the ceremonies are identical. It's our belief, and we've made this clear on many occasions, the Egyptian culture comes from this country.
See, back in the 20s, 30s, teens of the last century, people were talking about...
Oh, in Australia, we've got probably about 20 cuttings from newspaper papers talking about Egyptian discoveries found in Australia. It was so common. But in the Sir Grafton Elliott Smith, who was the first person in Australia to be knighted for services to academia, said there's so many Egyptian remains and remnants in Australia that it outpaces what you can find in Egypt. So, yeah, look, don't keep doing Egypt, Evan. We'll be doing it for the whole show.
Oh, I love it. I love it. You know, we have Egyptian settlements here in the United States, allegedly. Of course, we also have an organization called the Smithsonian who likes to take artifacts and any kind of historical things, anything that would change the history of the United States, and they hide it. Yeah.
Yes, they've been in contact with us by a rock. They actually wrote to us.
They have.
This is the rock that they want.
They actually wrote to us.
Okay.
Don't
Don't
give it to him.
No, we're not. Don't worry.
No, don't worry. I'll tell you what we said, and I'll tell you what they said.
All right. I'll just get this up.
Okay,
I've got to hear this.
Okay, that's one side. Can you go and put up the next side of it, Evan? Because I just show them different sides while I'm talking. What actually happened was we showed this to a professor of one of the top universities in Australia. And he was stunned by this. He said, my God, I can't believe what I'm looking at. He said, look at the infill in there. Because this was found 1.5 meters beneath the surface at Carrion, 1 kilometer from the hieroglyphs, by the way. And it was dug out, which means it had to be there for 10,000 years. Now, what's interesting is that's a sandstone area. This is not sandstone. Now, there are markings on this. Hang on.
Oh, yeah. That's just where it's found.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And I'll explain what happened. The markings on these rocks. Now, the Smithsonian looked at this and said there's nothing like it in the world. And they contacted us twice and offered to store it. And we knew what that meant. And we were very respectful and thanked them for their interest because they made 2 comments because our professor sent it across and they contacted us. But what's interesting about these rocks, these markings on there are 2 sides that have markings. And who was it? Dr. Derek Cunningham. He goes around the world and he believes the first language was mathematical. It was done with angles. And what he did was he marked out the angles on 2 of the sides of this rock, and Evan's showing you one of the sides there, and you'll notice it goes to 2 decimal points, the degrees. And what he then did was we just compared it to 3 other rocks. One that was found in Calgary. Can you go to the other side? You'll show them the other side that's coming up. Yeah, there's a second side that's coming up in a second, and we'll show you that one. And they compared it to the rocks from Calgary. And that side's been marked out with angles too, which will come up in a sec. There it is again. And he had 21 angles on the Calgary rock, and 19 were on this rock. And then Dr. Samir from Bosnia, he contacted us. They found a rock in a tunnel there, and Dr. Derek did the angles on that, didn't he? 15. And all 15 were also on this rock.
But you'll notice on this rock there's a certain number that seems to repeat itself. 33
degrees is the most common angle on this. And by the way, Carrion is on 33 degrees. I want to make that point. None of this is coincidental. He then compared it to a rock in Germany where he'd done 10 angles, and all 10 were on that rock. So what that means is when you add that up, you end up with 46 angles found in Germany, in Bosnia, in Calgary, in Canada, and 44 are on that rock, which confirms what we've said from the very beginning. There was a universal language around the world. Now, the thing that threw our professor into rapture was this infill. He said that's been there for 10,000 years, and there's a second one, and that's got a piece of metal inside it, which he saw also. And then there were the imprints, where the rock was just pushed down with this imprint, and he said that would take 3,000 degrees to melt it, to push it down like that. And the angles on that have been cut. Now, you've got to remember, this comes from a country that's not supposed to have a blade. All we've got is stick, stone, and bone. Oh, thank you, Evan.
Yeah, I couldn't help myself. I had the meme of the last scene from Raiders of the Lost Ark. So I'm pretty sure that's where it would have ended up.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Obviously, we did not accept. They made multiple offers to store it in a box where it'd never be seen again. All they did say was, and they made this very clear, there is nothing like it on this planet. And of course, there's number two. And what's interesting with number two, the letter A's been cut in, but Evan's running his finger up, his pointer across there, and you'll find a very sharp line has been cut into this rock. And this is supposed to be stick, stone, and bone technology. It is not. That runs all the way around the letter A. That's a female rock. That's rock number two. And the first other one was a male rock. And both of them have multicolored sides on it. And that's the side where the women would hold it. And it's been worn away. It's been held so often. And then it has other languages on it. It has a pecking language on it. And it has some lines on it too. It has about 5 different languages. Now, all of these rocks are covered in coats.
Sorry.
Oh.
That's on to the next one.
Evan's gone on to another rock. But we're not talking about rocks at the moment, Evan. We're just the next one that Evan was going to show you, might as well now you brought it up. That's a 6.5 kilometer slab of granite. Again, you run your finger across that. It's a sacred rock, and that's the women's story on that side. But again, you've got to remember something. This is granite. It's been cut out as a sheer slab, and it's at least 15,000 years old. And I'm going to tell you, the technology that we're looking at is extremely advanced. Even by today's standards, the stuff that you're looking at there, you just can't do this by getting a sharp rock and banging it into that. And the ones we've got, we never get percussion bowls, which is what happens when you've got rock on rock. You hit the rock against the other rock, it makes a bowl. That never happens. That is a woman's story on that side, and on the back, there are all these straight lines, and that's a men's story. It's the only rock in Australia that is sacred to both men and women, depending on what side is up. Very sacred rock, that one. We literally have hundreds of rocks like this that don't fit in to the story of stick, stone, and bone technology, but do fit into a story of earlier civilizations like Atlantis and Lemuria that were highly advanced technologically. And it's our belief that when the whole of this thing happened and all of this blew up and was destroyed, the original people of Australia made a decision, we no longer go there anymore. And we walked away from that, threw away that, and came back to stick, stone, and bone. So all of the rocks we've got come from this pre-Atlantis Lemuria time.
Wow. And what about the crystal? I'm just kind of backtracking a little bit. The crystal that was in that metal, did you test the crystal to see where it came from and what kind of crystal that was?
No, we didn't, because it's so small. And the problem, you've got to remember, we've got 2 ways of analysing our work. One is with an electronic machine. There's only 2 in this country. And the person who owned that machine lets us have open access for free. And the second one is the guy's the head scientist from Southern Cross Uni, but he will cut. And this is too small an object, and it's only that big. And I accepted the cut once, but I won't accept it again. These are sacred magical objects. They have a magic within, they have an energy within them. And to cut them, for me, I did it once because we had to prove a point, and we proved it. And of course, the academics wouldn't listen to us, even though we proved it. We have the energy. We have the university. We have the guy that did it. He's known around the world. He's put his reputation on the fact that it's not from the earth. He's done all that. He's prepared to say it, and he's letting me say it, but they won't talk about it. In Australia, the academics have banded together, and they have made a standard. We've seen it on our websites, haven't it?
Yep.
They've been telling everyone if they mention our name, they'll be kicked off the website. And number 2, they've all agreed they will say nothing about whatever we put out. They'll never make a public response. And if they do, they become black banned. So that's the way they handle it.
It sounds familiar. We have that happening here as well. With
Welcome to
certain
the
things.
real world. Yeah.
Yes, we do. Yes, I mean, even talking about cryptids and things like that in our research, we get censored and blacklisted and stuff like that. So I understand, but what you're doing is on a much greater scale than anything I've ever been involved in. So, wow. But there is a vested interest in keeping all of this quiet,
Yes, there
and
is.
but it shows you the pattern of how it's all over the world. People banding together to cover these things up.
Well,
Now,
see, yeah, sorry, Carl.
oh no, I was just going to say that talking about the magical stones, the Egyptians were very magical, and did a lot of magic, and the
That's why they
needle,
came here. That's why they came here. They came here to learn from our elders, who were the great magicians of this planet.
Yeah.
Now, we have an elder, our elder that gave me ceremony and gave us the right to do this. He did some magic with Graham Hancock and Santa, which is worth talking about right now since you've mentioned magic, to prove that it's still alive. And Graham Hancock, you can ask Graham Hancock and he will back it up because he was there, and so were 10 other people. What happened when Graham came to Australia, he knew about what we were doing. He wanted us to take us on country, and we agreed to it under one condition. Because we were showing him sacred objects and sacred places, what we have said is, if you want to see this, you then have to do ceremony with Kano. So what happened is, on the last day, we all flew down to Kangaroo Island, which is called Carter, Island of the Dead, blessed those who listen, that's its proper name. It's about 3,000 k's from where we were. We all went down there. And what happened was, it was nighttime, wasn't it, Evan?
Yep.
And everyone was sitting around the big fire. We've got a fire pit there. And then Kano came dressed up. And there's some pictures of Kano there. And he was done up old way. Just a laplut, and he's got body paint on his legs, on his arms, the whole business. And he was singing first language. That language was a language spoken around the world. And we know about that too, but we probably won't get that point today. And he was singing that. He was talking to us for a while, and we all sat around in a circle. He walked back one step, then he walked back the second step, and everyone watched him, and that's when he completely disappeared. And I looked around at Graham, and you saw Graham too, didn't you, Evan?
Yep.
And for the first time in Graham's life, he was speechless. He could not get a word out of his mouth. Mind you, nor could I. None of us could. And for a minute, we looked everywhere. Then out of nowhere, it's not quite true, out of nowhere, Kano reappears standing behind his wife with a big smile on his face. And so people came up to me and said, ask him how he did that. And I looked at him and said, not touching it, not going near it. I've asked him questions before. You never ask elder questions because you never get the answer you want. But it's interesting, on the next day, someone had the courage to go up and ask him, how did you do that?
Not me, someone else.
No, we weren't going to do it.
I had already been, I already had a nickname that weekend.
Icing sugar.
Icing sugar, because I was concerned about a storm, and then he said, what are you made of? Icing sugar. I went, what?
Evan wanted to get out of the storm. He wanted to move the tent under there's the big building there. We could put it under so we wouldn't get wet. He said, what are you made of? Icing sugar. Now you stay in that storm and get wet. Well, what happened was, they asked him the next day, and they said, how did you do this? And I remember Wirich and another elder called it, this is one of Kano's party tricks. And I thought it was a bit offensive, but it actually was. He said, that's simple. He said, look over there. And he did. He said, can you see that portal? He said, no.
Portal.
He said, well, I can.
Yeah, it's just there.
I said, what I did was I walked inside the portal. And I stayed there for a minute, and then I came back out. Didn't you see me there? And we said, no. But I've got to tell you something. Evan and I have both since done a disappearing, we did a ceremony, a disappearing ceremony, and we've done it. And we've seen how it actually happens. We went to a place where the portal turns up once every 2 years.
Yes.
And Bob Crombie took us there, and we did it too. So, yeah, we understand what it was. He walked behind that portal.
We were interacting with the sacred site.
Yeah.
Kano was just randomly,
he's calling the damn
it's just
thing.
there. He could do it anywhere, whereas we needed to be at a particular point in time and a particular place to do it. And it wasn't just us. There were 10 other people there.
Oh, that we all did it. Yeah, no, so it does work. That's part of and that's part of the magic the Egyptians came to Australia to learn. We've got people that can disappear into trees. I mean, Kano, he did so many other things. We could talk about that. We did look, for anyone who wants to look this up, we put an article up quite recently.
Yeah, I'll just get that link.
And it's got 9 different things he did, of which 7 you would call miracles today. And Kano just said one thing about all these things. Everything I can do, every human on this planet can also do. So it's not actually, that's why I wanted to talk about the word magic. According to Kano, it's not magic. It is something that all humans are capable of but have lost. The article is called As Close as We Can Get, isn't it?
All right, I'll just give you the link in the private chat.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so sorry about digressing there and going off into magic for a sec, but I just wanted to make the point. I've seen Kano do so many of these things now. After I saw about the fourth or fifth one, I stopped getting amazed. And I started to realise the fact that one time I'm driving a bus and he breaks into a song, I've got an eagle flying alongside me while I'm driving the bus, this close to me. He's got one on that side smiling while he's doing it. By that stage, I knew he'd sung the eagles to fly with us in the bus, and there was one above the roof. I knew he did that, and it's in the article, by the way. And I got to the stage by then I wasn't surprised anymore. But most people would think it's magic. But ladies and gentlemen, it's not. It's what we have the capacity to do that was taken from us that's
right.
coming back.
I love that so much. And you're so right. And part of what I like to talk about pretty often is remembering and understanding our human capabilities, the enhanced human capabilities that we have, like our psychic abilities and things like that that have been under attack for so long. And utilizing Earth's natural portals, and things like that. I talk about this pretty often. And it is magic. It is magic.
But it's magic that we own. This is the point.
Right.
Kano made this point. I mean, the rocks we've got, they've done so much magic, it's not funny. Mm-hmm. And we're used to that. We're sort of in a situation because we have so many artifacts now that are magical. I mean, we have 3 rings from Atlantis that I've destroyed one, and the other 2 are locked up in a lead box and will never be released because that magic, I got to tell you, is not good. But it's real. And the magic, we put it into these objects. We put it into the rocks. We put it into the rings. We put it into the skulls we've got. It is part of us that's been stolen from us. And we need to get it back.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And speaking of the stolen stones, I was watching a video of you, Stephen, and it was about the stolen rocks in 1959. Are these the same stones or are these different stones?
I got them with me because I was going to talk about them because we'll probably have to break halfway through because we have a break in the middle because there's 2 parts to this story and I'll actually hold them up and I'll hold them up to the camera so you can see them in a sec. I'll give you first of all what they look like and how amazing they are. Then secondly, when we come back, I'd like to tell you about a psychic, an elder, our off-world Mesref, our guide from above, and a person who's got some other lines of these about the fact that they all come from the same thing. They don't come from here. So we've got 2. I'll try and hold this up now. Oh, it's down here, isn't it, Evan?
Yeah.
I'll have to see if I can find it. Oh, there we go. Now, what it is, this one is got, I think this one's got 9, and this side here's got 7. Now, if you look at them, I know it's hard to see because it is so fine. Look how thin this rock is.
Wow.
And on this side, every one, they're spirals. They're not actually circles as such. I'm trying to get a decent angle where we can see more of them. I can't. Oh, Evan's got one up now.
I'll share the screen.
He'll share the screen. And I'll tell you a bit about this particular one once he shares the screen with it because that shot he's got with the screen will come up better. Now, this piece of stone, if it is stone, is around about 2 millimeters thick and it's really strong. I always want to hold it. I feel like, oh my God, I'm going to drop the damn thing. Not that one, Evan. You're not allowed to show that anymore now. Just that one, okay? Because those 4 are going back to the elders. This particular one, what's interesting about it is when you look at the lines that have been cut into there, there are 7. This represents the Pleiades, from the 7 stars from the Pleiades. Every one of those lines is the same depth, the same width, and the same spacing apart. You cannot do this with your hand. It's impossible. We have other rocks that came from the same place that were done with a hand, and sometimes there's no mark, sometimes it jags away a bit. The spacing is perfect. You see the emu footprints that run all the way around that. That tells us about it as on top up there. When we talk about the emu dreaming, we always talk about the stars. This is about the stars. This particular piece of work here, because of the size of it, the fact that it's been done like this is ancient. It's incredibly ancient. We know where it came from. We know what year it was taken, stolen from the original people, 1959. And very quickly, I'll tell you the story of what took place with this. They stole 7 of these rocks. The one you're looking at is different to the other. There's 2 that are different, okay? That's one of the 2 that's different. They come from the ancient technology that's much more sophisticated. The other 4 come from a different one. Now, when they were stolen, they were taken by this gentleman. I still have the bag it was put in, suitcase rather, and he gave it to someone else quite recently. And that was fine. The rocks stayed there. But that person then sold 2 of the rocks. And they were frog dreaming rocks. I know that because there was a drawing of them and had the heading on top. He sold it that morning. In the afternoon, he felt sick, agonizingly sick, and did so for the next 2 months. Went to every hospital, every specialist, and they couldn't find what was wrong with him. They told him it was psychosomatic. There's nothing wrong with you. Then he died 2 months after he sold them in agony. Now, his daughter was in contact with the rocks telepathically, and they told the rocks told her we killed him because he sold the rocks. You broke us up, and he might have sold more. We could not tolerate that. And that rocks told her, you have to find someone to look after these rocks. And she spent the next year before she found us. Wow. She brought them down to us. She gave us all 7 of the rocks. 2 we're keeping. That's 1. And the second one I'm going to hold up, which is this one. Oh no, I've got to hold it like that. It's this one here. Now have a look at that and tell me how you make that with rock on rock. That blade there has never been used. It is a perfect circle. It's been polished, and you can't do this with stick, stone, and bone technology. Now, what gets interesting is, and I know we're about to have a break, what I wanted to tell you about is when I've got rocks that are this important, I do my work, I hold them for 3 or 4 days before I start to make observations. And then after I've done that, I go to an elder, I go to a psychic, we go to an off-world helper, which is called Mesref. I asked all of them for information on these rocks. And what I wanted to do, because I know we're getting close to the change over time, when we come back, I'd like to walk away from the science, because we've mainly done science all the way through, and we could do this for days. Mm-hmm. Right? I'd like to come back and tell you what the psychic said, what the elder, who was Auntie Trudy Roberts, we were talking yesterday. We know of 2 people around here that are still old way, and she's one of them. She is the official keeper of the language here. Wow. That's her job. You don't get that job to be the keeper of the language unless you're not that sort of person. Right. We asked them for readings on this rock, and what is amazing is all 4 of the readings were identical, and none of them knew what the others said.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm all about hearing what the psychic has to say, for sure. I'm in it. I'm in it to win it tonight. I love this. Stephen and Evan, this is amazing. We are going to take about a 5-minute break. Yeah, we're going to take about a 5-minute break. And we come back, we're going to hear more about these stones. And this is awesome. Okay. And Filth, I'm not sure what you're drawing down there, but it looks amazing. Thank you for being
Ularu.
here.
It's done Ularu there. Yeah. In the middle there, I can see it. Thank you. That's spot on. That's Ularu.
I love it. All right. Let's take a 5-minute break and we will be right back. You guys are going to hear some after hours music. All right. I'm sitting in for Dave Scott tonight. I'm the Cryptid Huntress, Jessica Jones. We'll be back in 5 minutes. everybody. Welcome back to Space Out Radio. Man, I feel like I just walked out of a rave. Okay, that was some banging music right there. All right. Well, I'm going to bring our guests back up. I have Steve and Evan Strong here at Spaced Out Radio tonight. They're authors, researchers, progressive archaeohistorians, speakers, and our Alien Ancestry Conference founders. We are talking about some interesting topics tonight. We've been talking about sacred rocks with alien technology and a load of other stuff. Let's bring up Stephen and Evan, and we've got Dirty Filth in the house doing our artwork for us tonight. So this is just absolutely blowing my mind, talking about hidden history. And I'd like for you to finish your story, Stephen. We got to hear about the psychics now. Yeah, you're muted. Let's see. You got your. We can't hear you.
Yep, I'm muted.
There we go.
Right, I'm going
Thank
to talk
you.
about these two rocks now, and I'm going to take you through 4 readings, and then it'll lead into something we would like to talk about next, which
Okay.
is we found an alien skull, and we'd like to talk about that because it's mentioned. I started by showing this to Auntie Trudy Roberts. Now, Auntie Trudy is one of the very few people I've allowed to touch these rocks. In fact, there's only about 3 people that are allowed to touch them. It will kill them. She has permission to do so, and I knew that she had a link. And what she did was she focused on this side here, which has got the 7 stars, the Pleiadian side. She would not talk about this side because we believe this is a male side. And what she told me was this is about the Pleiades. And she said within this rock is their story. You can reach that story. It's found within it. The whole of their story is found within this. It's like a computer chip that contains everything there. She also told me about this rock and told me something. When she told me that, I thought, oh, I don't know about this. I was a bit sus. She said this rock was used for levitation ceremonies. Now, I knew how old way people could do levitation, but this rock's quite heavy, and I'm thinking, oh, I don't know about that. We'll find out. So then what happened was we then next went to, after I'd been to my elder, next up we always go, we've got a couple of psychics, one in particular, Alison is the best, the very best we've got. Didn't give her anything at all. She picked up this side. She didn't look at the other side. She's a female, which is understandable. And she's talking about the Pleiades. And first of all, she said, it's Aboriginal people, but it's not theirs. It was given to them by the people from this place, the Pleiades. She said, but hang on, the Pleiades, I'm getting ash. I'm getting destruction. Evan and I are both thinking, hang on, Pleiades, they're all divine, man. They didn't have warfare and stuff like that. That doesn't quite fit with the stories of Pleiades. One of the planets was blown up. They just did this to each other. I'm thinking, hang on, that's not what we've heard. And I thought, okay, we'll check that one as we go along. But she also said the same thing, and she used a word here, didn't she, Evan? Yep. She said that when you've got, I've written it down, she said this is used for initiation to integrate yourself into their story. So I then went and saw Mesref, and hopefully as we get through the end of our session here towards the end, I'd like to talk about a Mesref a bit more, an alien off-world who comes from a race that have never died, and they are the first ones ever created. And they have taken a major interest in Australia and this place, this planet. But I asked him, I said, number one, what's this for? And the words he used was, it was used for initiation and integration with this being. Now, she told us the being, and this is more specific, the being gave this to the original people 280,000 years ago, and it's the no-foreign people who gave it to them. Now, I'm going to talk about them at the finish of this. I need to introduce them because I've now mentioned that. Okay. And he said, and then I said, well, what about this rock? He said, this rock? He said, simple. This is used for a levitation ceremony. Now, he didn't know what Trudy said. Well, he might have, because he just knows about everything anyway. But all of these people were not queued up by anyone else. Then it finishes with this. The fourth person I spoke to has sent us pictures of other rocks that came from the same place, very near Ularu, which is what your drawer, what's his name?
That's filthy.
Yes,
filthy.
That's
yes.
what he did. Well, it's near there. I'm not saying it's there, but somewhere near there. And what he said was, he got some of these rocks, and they were the same. One was like this, the same width, the same depth, and it had a fantastic pattern on it, didn't it? Brilliant. And he told me the story of this. And he said this was given to, and I've got it written down here, a health worker for safekeeping. And the elders gave it to this white woman because, and I'm not having a go at this group, I'm writing down what I was told. The Pentecostal missionaries that came there and told the original people returning to Christianity, if you have objects that are not of Jesus, they are of the devil, and destroy them. And what was happening was some of the original people were destroying these objects. So they gave it to this lady, but they told her one thing, and this is very important. I'm going to take the quote here. They said, the ones that they have, which are exactly the same as these, said they came from the stars. Now, this is where it gets interesting. He dropped one of these, and he's shown the picture of it. He reckons inside it's not rock, it's metal.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
We're at the stage when I go and play tennis with my science mate that actually, this is an old boys network, that's why I did it for free. I'm going to be taking this one along here, and I'm just going to look at it and want to talk about it, and I'm going to tell him, well, what do you think it is? And it is very thin, isn't it?
It is.
Well, the one he broke, it's silver grey inside.
Wow.
You know what the colour metal is, isn't it? And he stuck it back together with super glue, but we can take it off, and he's prepared for the scientists to tear that little bit to pieces to find out if it's actually a metal. So what you've got there is 4 different people: Arnie Trudy, our psychic, Alison, Mesref, and this other guy whose name is Warren, and they're all telling me the same thing. Wasn't made by us, made by aliens, and they're telling us with this one, this is a history, and it was made by the no foreign people. Now, I don't know if you know much about the no foreign people.
No, I don't.
Well, the Cherokee do, don't they, Evan?
Yes.
Dr. Artie Six-Killer Clark, who's an academic and also Cherokee, calls them the moon people. The moon people.
You know, I actually am friends with some elders of the Cherokee. I live not too far from Cherokee, North Carolina. And there's actually a petroglyph there called Judaculla Rock. And it is a petroglyph. There's a big story behind it, but some say that tells the story of, I'm not gonna lie, I've remote viewed that stone, okay, and it seemed to be a story of creation, and all the way up to like Star Wars, like literal, wars in the sky. So, very interesting.
Well, here's the trick. I want to introduce you to the moon people of the Cherokee, and what Mesref called the no foreign people. We've seen 4 in this country, and what I'd like to do, if you're up to it, I'd like to show you. I've been on site. I want to start, if I can, not that Evan. I want to show them one first up. I'd like you.
There you go.
Okay, here we go. I'm going to hold this up.
Okay.
That is a model of this being. Now, what I want you to look at is when I hold it face up in front of you, it doesn't have a forehead. When I hold it sideways, I'll hold it like that. You'll see it better. It actually runs down, slopes downwards like this. There's no one on this planet that has a forehead that doesn't exist.
Oh,
so it is a completely different type of being. Now, what I can also tell you, and if you look underneath, and by the way, I have the bones of this particular being, and I've been to another one I'm going to show you in a sec. There's no suturing. There's no suturing with this particular being.
Wow.
Now, what I'm going to do now is Evan's going to take you for.
Uh-oh, we just lost contact. Here, let me go back. All right. Well, we've just lost a connection. So hopefully they'll be back here in just a minute. I might have screwed that up putting yeah, we'll figure it out. Yes, hopefully they'll hit that link and come right back in. That is amazing. Phil, what do you think about all of this? Oh, here they are. Here they are, Phil. Hold your thought.
Hey,
we're
back.
My mouse slipped off my folder and it clicked leave studio, not share.
It's okay. We found you. Wonderful. Thanks for coming back.
Let me tell you the story now of this being in some detail, because you need to understand. There's the picture. Evan's going to give you the first picture now, I hope. of the site I went to.
There we go.
Okay. Are we there, Evan?
Yeah.
We're there. All right. I went to this site. I was called into this site. The site was found by a farmer. He dug this skull out. He went to the government, as a good farmer should, and the government sent some people there, ripped the burial site to pieces, chucked it everywhere, and told him it's a normal Homo sapien.
Oh,
Right?
okay.
No forehead. The eyes that you're looking at there are 46% larger than Homo sapien eyes. The nose that you've got there is completely different to us. And there's a lot more about this particular being that is not sapien, not hominid, but far more intelligent than any being that's ever existed on this planet. So we'll go through the story. This is the being that gave us those rocks. That's why that goes together. Now you're going to look at a picture of them from the back. And do you notice how the skull goes backwards? And as it goes backwards, it flares out. Now, let me explain something to you. The widest part of a hominid, Homo sapien, is 13 centimeters, and that's here in the middle. That one, the widest part of that is at the back, and it is 18 centimeters across. Now, Jessica, I want you to think about this. If you're going to give birth to someone and you want to do a natural birth, and the nurse says dilate to 10 centimeters.
I have given birth once.
Ladies, 10 centimeters, you ain't getting this baby out. Now,
That's a big head. I don't know. We have to do a C-section on that one.
17.
Yes.
It's 17 centimeters. It's longer. It's 18 centimeters long and 17 across at the back. Now, this one has 3 sutures. The one I'm holding you, that I've shown you, is another one of that race, but different. The one that I showed you before has no sutures. Now, as you dig a little bit deeper there, you'll find I've put the markers on there, and you'll notice if you look very carefully, I've laid some rocks. Maybe it's not shown on that one. I had rocks all the way around there. We gave this place full ceremony before we started. I had 2 elders with me all the way through, and they were giving songs as we went through this. Now, what's fascinating about this being is you'll notice there's 2 bones. One you can just see, and another one you can't see. The one you're looking at right now is the femur bone. Now, I picked that femur bone up and I put it against mine, and it went exactly from my hip to my knee. And I said to the people around, well, I'm standing 5'10". I'm thinking this thing stands at 5'10". Okay? That's fairly logical to do that. I then picked up the humerus bone, which, by the way, was longer than this femur bone, and it measured 43 centimeters, but I didn't get the elbow joint, which means it must be at least 46, could be 50. Jessica, your humerus bone is 30 to 29.
Oh my gosh.
The best basketball player may be 31. A gibbon is 35. This is at least 45, and it could be longer. But here's the point. It was no thicker than 1 inch. Now, what I've got with this being I'm looking at is eyes that do not function during the day. They don't. By the way, the Cherokee called them the moon people. They only come out at night. They can't come out in the day. They'd be blinded.
They live in the
You don't
caves.
grow massive eyes like that for daytime work. Now, secondly, this bone, the arm will basically be down nearly on the floor. But here's the point. The gibbon is about 2 inches because it's its major appendage. If for it to be this long, it should be its major appendage, but it's so thin. So what I've got is a being that can't come out during the day, but has got an arm that basically you couldn't do anything with. You wouldn't have enough muscle and ligament to make it functional. It would sway, but it wouldn't be able to do much. Now, if the gravity was half the gravity we've got on this planet, then there could be more ligaments and muscles and it'd be okay. And if the sunlight was half what it is on this planet, then those big eyes would be okay. This being is not made for this particular place at this time. Now, if it's one of these, that's fine. But you've got to remember, I'm telling you now, we found 4 of these, and we'll get to that in a sec. So, Evan, we'll just go through this site.
There's the picture with the rocks.
You'll see the rocks there that are laced around there because I would not touch that thing until we smoked it first. We gave it ceremony because this being, and have a look again, ladies and gentlemen, can you see the forehead? The forehead I showed you on mine, it's the same as this one. There's no difference. These are not mutations, ladies and gentlemen. Now, notice what's also interesting. Did you note? Look at the teeth there.
Oh, wow.
3 roots. And
Oh,
imagine
my.
you're at the dentist and they say they're going to pull it out. Look how the roots fold outwards. That
Oh my
is going to
gosh.
hurt at the dentist. It's bad enough giving birth to this being. Now, by the way, this is a different being alongside. It was buried alongside. And this one, the one I showed you, had a skull of around 2 to 3 mils. This one, his skull is 15 to 16 mils thick, completely different, buried next to one another. Very important to understand because this gives us a clue about how humans come about. Okay, and those teeth are completely different. Now, you'll see a picture there of the second one, and you'll see it's all covered in red ochre. And what happened was they actually buried the person. Then when it was all the skin and all the brain had rotted away, they took about out and then covered it all in red ochre. We've got about 36 bones from this being, but guess what? Where's the sutures? There's none.
Wow.
There are no sutures, and it's 16 centimeters thick. If you punched it in the head with your hand, you know what would happen to your knuckles? You'd break them.
Oh, my God.
You'd break them. If they headbutted you, and you'd die. This is 5 times thicker than our skull. All right?
Wow. Yes.
And here's the interesting part.
Wow.
We had the people who assembled this, and one of these guys that assembled this used to do the skulls for the Australian Museum. Not just a punter walking off the street. This was his job. And he told us this is an archaic Homo sapien. But you know what? I've got a Homo sapien skull and I put it inside. There's room for another 300 centimeters. It is much, much smaller than this. We've got dumber. Evan, could you go back to the picture before? I think that, yeah, have a look at that picture of a modern human and a Neanderthal and a Denisovan. That Denisovan, that's my mom. Look which has got the smallest skull.
Wow.
Now, they don't. All of these, their skulls are even much smaller than the one we're dealing with. So we'll go forward again, please, Evan. Okay, missed that one. There's the thickness of the skull. And look how it's honeycombed.
Wow.
Now, that is so thick. And notice it was coated inside and out. These are sacred beings. By the way, the other one you saw had the 2 front teeth pulled out, which was the same initiation in that tribal area when Cook got there. So these guys weren't freaks. They were buried with respect. The alien had their knees and their arms up against their chest and they faced the east. This was all done with a lot of respect. They are sacred beings. Keep going, please, Evan. Right. There's the other skull that we got. That was the second one we've got. And you'll notice once again, no forehead. No forehead. And by the way, notice how we've got a depression between our 2 eyebrows. Their 2 eyebrows, it sticks out. It's the opposite. It juts out. The furthest part of their skull is between the eyebrows. Nothing about this is like us. But think about humans. There are 7 billion on this planet. We're the only human and only species on the planet that has different faces. We all are different. We've got different height, different weight, different everything. And people saying we came from the same monkey, mummy and daddy. And monkey, mummies and daddies don't have sutures. But more importantly, all chimps look roughly the same, have the same weight, the same height, the same everything. We are so different from one another. Now you know why. Now there's the reconstruction, ladies and gentlemen. And what you've got there is you've got a picture of a sapien skull. And I've got to make the point, the reconstruction wasn't done by the academic from Sydney Uni, from the Australian Museum. And he gave it a bit of a forehead, more than what it needed. But he actually worked on what, Evan? He does the faces for
Alien and Predator films.
Yeah, he does that for Hollywood, right? And he took the second part. He took what I held up earlier, which was this part here. He then built it into a full skull. Now look at the size of that nose and look at the size of the nose of the Homo sapien. Different.
Wow.
We've got a depression. They've got something sticking out. Look where their nose starts to ours. Completely different place. Look at the size of the eyes. Completely different. Then look at the size of the skulls that we've got them next to one another. We're 1300 cc, it's 1700 cc. Far smarter than us, far brighter, and completely different. You mix those 2 together, and you're going to get every face under the planet, and you have.
Wow.
There is our ancestry, ladies and gentlemen. It's alien. It's not monkey. Oh, for God's sake, monkeys can't. Oh, there's another one. that one there, by the way, the first two were found 300 kilometers apart on two tribal locations, and they're both riverine. This one was found 2,000 kilometers away in another state in South Australia in the desert. Completely different. And notice again, it's laid on the ground there, and once again, no forehead, the same front, the front part sticking out. And that one, we were 2 days off. We had got a university. We had a team of about 12 people who were going to take everyone out to that. The university approved it, didn't they, Evan?
Yep.
They were going to go and get it. And the day before, the government stepped in and called the whole thing off. And it's still sitting out there now, and we can't get to it. That's number 3, 2,000 kilometers away from the first two. But let's look at number 4. There it is there. That was found on the coast in Victoria. The other two are in New South Wales. Now we've got one in South Australia, and that's 500 kilometres away from the first two. And that one fell down the cliff, and you can see how it broke, but look what's still stuck in there, part of the nose. And see where the nose starts, up here, right up high, and sticks out completely different. There's 4 of those that have been found in Australia, separated by 4 different tribal locations. They are not mutations. Now, let me close this story, and I'm going to very quickly go off science for 1 second. As we were driving towards the academic who gave us this skull, he'd been to the government, and they told him nothing to see here, and don't talk about it anymore, because if you do, you won't be an academic anymore, will you? So he gave it to us because he would have lost his job if he made any more about it. And we're driving towards there. And then one of my elders rings me up, Wirrichin, from 2,500 kilometres away. And he says to me, "You're going to see a bone, a skull." I said, "Well, yeah, Wirrichin, but I didn't need to check with you. It's not on your country. I didn't tell you about it." "Oh, I'm not complaining about it. I'm just telling what you're doing." I said, "Well, how do you know that?" "Oh, I got more for you." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "I was told 3 things." I said, "I want you to check them out." I said, "What are they, Wirrichin?" He said, "Number 1, you're going to get a skull. And this skull doesn't come from here. He is the son of Biami." Now, Biami, we don't call these mob up there spirits. We call them sky heroes. They come in ships. We know that. And Biami was the first one to bring people here. And he is the chief god. He's like God for original people. He's our creator. And he said, "This is one of the sons of Biami." I said, "Well, that's a big call. How are you going to prove that?" He said, "I'll do this 2 ways." He said, "I'll tell you where he found it." I said, "That'll be interesting." He said it was found in the Wimmera region. Now, you guys overseas probably don't know where that is. It's a small tract of land within Victoria. It would make up of Australia, it would make up 0.01% of Australia's land mass, okay? So it was found in the Wimmera region. I said, "Well, I'm only 10 minutes away, mate. I'll find out if you're right." He said, "Well, remember this, you're dealing with the son of Biami, the creator god." So we pull up, and this guy comes out, and he holds that piece that I showed you, that flat piece like that. He comes out through the front door, and before I asked him, I'm not lying, he said, "We found this in the Wimmera region." I thought to myself, well, who's pulling the strings here? Because I feel like I'm a puppet. And that, ladies and gentlemen, that of course is the truth, but of course I can't use that. But what I can show you is I can show you those skulls, and I can tell you now, the reason why the government are so keen to put me in jail and have sent me so many threats is because of those skulls. When they were made in the full form and the government saw that, we have been attacked full on ever since, and they will not let us. I've been told now legally that the bones I've got can stay within the house. If they leave the house, I'll be arrested and put in jail. If they're tested by anyone, and I did have the top scientist in the country, didn't we? Mm-hmm. He went and saw it. He just shook his head and said, "I can't believe it. I don't know what this is. I'll do it." He rang me up to do it. The day before he was going to do it, the government rang up the university. "No, it's not on." And I'm stuck with this. I've got the top scientist in this country ready to work on that, but he can't do it. He's not allowed to. Government won't let him. And he was told if he did, by the way, the government funds the university, so you can see where that's going to go. Of course. So, ladies and gentlemen, I now showed you the beings that gave us that rock. Now, knowing that they lived in the desert, which is where this particular thing came from, I've shown you a skull in the desert, that would be very close to where that thing was found. And knowing that you've found 3 others, for me to now say those 2 objects I showed you were given to us by aliens, I've now got some fact around that. I've got a base. I've got a real base. So there, ladies and gentlemen, is the next part of our story, which is the alien part of that. We're not going to tell you about things flying through the sky. We're going to tell you about things that have been found in the ground. And to this day, that site I showed you to begin with is now sealed. No one's allowed to enter it. It's banned from entry, and nobody is allowed to examine it. That's how we do science in Australia.
Wow. Well, you know, they won't let you take it outside of your home, but what you can do is show it to the world through our computers and through the web.
Because it was found in 1953, right? January 1953. I know who's found it, and we've got the coordinates for it. Because it was found then, and until, well, in 1965, Aboriginal people weren't allowed to vote. In fact, in a census in 1965, they were counted as being animal, flora and fauna. They weren't even counted as humans. In 1973, the Whitlam government came in and protected all artifacts and all objects, but didn't make it retrospective, which means they can't come to my door and steal that off me because it was found in 1953. So legally, the lady who found it gave it to an academic. And when the academic gave it to me, both the lady who found it and the academic agreed to it. Legally, the government knows. They've threatened to take it off me, but I've said you can't. Legally, you can't, and I know you can't, and they shut up. They know they can't take it off me, but what they can do is they can ban anyone from examining it and for me taking out to show you. But I've shown you, of course, now I've held that up. Now, we do have the bones inside, and they're kept inside a cabinet. And what we want to do is just one thing. I want to do science. I want all the best science in the world done on the bone. One bone. I want all the rest buried and put back where they came from. But one bone I want science done on, and we will find, when we look at the mitochondrial DNA, you're not going to find monkeys in there, and you ain't going to find much of us, but you're going to find DNA in there that nobody has ever seen. Because there's no one walking around today on this planet that doesn't have a foreign. And remember, it's 1800 cc, and we've got 1300 cc, and 99% of the brain is below your eyes. How much of your brain is below your eyes? Most of it's above. And by the way, that changes the whole of the configuration of that neck, changes the whole way that body is too. It's nothing like our body. It can't be, because it's so different.
Oh
so,
my gosh.
There's what we found in Australia. Proof.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it is. And it's amazing that to this day, I'm not in jail, isn't it, Evan?
Yes.
Well, it makes for an interesting story, an interesting life. Oh my gosh. The moon people. Okay, I have so many thoughts in my head right now. My mind is blown over all of this information that you're giving us and all of the evidence you're showing us tonight. I do have some very good friends who are elders in Cherokee, North Carolina, where they do have the moon-eyed people there, which is very interesting because Chief David always says that he's from the stars and his ancestors are the star people. And when I spent a weekend or part of a week there with him and his friends, and I camped out on top of a mountaintop, and he was calling in spaceships. They're called the sky ships over Cashers. Yeah. And those are his people. Okay, so
look, I know the Hopi are obsessed with the Pleiadians, and they fully get this. The blue people, they talk about them. It sort of leads into something we've done, and I suppose because you've said that, we really have to do it now, don't we? Because we're just going with what you say. We've been obsessed with the Hopi. Okay, in fact, what we do is we look at all the indigenous people on this planet, and we take our guidance. We don't listen to the scientists. We take all our guidance. All our ceremonies are given to us by indigenous people. They are the keepers of the real truth, and they're the keepers of our history that's been stolen. Now, we are obsessed with the Hopi for one reason, because we claim they are the keepers of the great prophecies. And that, what Chief David, when you said that, Evan and I looked at each other and smiled, because we're fully aware of who he is. We know all of the stuff.
David.
Yeah. Oh, we
Well,
don't know him, we know of him so
Okay,
much.
I was going to say we have a mutual friend.
Yeah, we do, because the hobby are our inspiration, because
Mhm.
we've been involved in something else, which I didn't know if we're going to talk about, but we obviously are now, aren't we?
Where you want to put slides.
Well, we'll put some slides up in a sec. If look, I do want to stop. Well, I want to spend some time with Mesrith to finish, right? Okay, so I'll watch the time. So I'm going to make this a quick one. About 10 years ago, we've been doing talks around Australia for quite some time, and obviously everywhere else. About 10 years ago, an elder rang me up, and I find it amazing that your artist drew Ularu, because this is what this is all about. And he did that first. This is all about aliens and Ularu, which is what that drawing is. That's why we've got to do it, Evan, because what he's done is exactly what happened there. Can't believe he did it. Anyway, this is what happened. I was told 10 years ago, the elders have made an announcement. They've been doing ceremonies at Ularu, and they've been doing them for quite some time. And at 2020, on December the 21st, at the summer solstice, when Jupiter and Saturn were in alignment with the Earth, there would be a prophecy and a ceremony that would take place that could change the planet forever. Right? Now, we were told about this way back, and we were told that during the time leading up to this, there would be, and we've said this on many talks, so we're quite comfortable saying this, there would be threat of world war, there would be a pandemic, there would be threat of collapse, there would be terrorism. The whole world would be in a state of constant fear that they'd never experienced before. And this would be done deliberately. There'd be threats of economic collapse, everything that you know that's going on today. We were told in these prophecies 10 years ago, it was all going to be done to stop this prophecy. Okay? Mm-hmm. So we actually then, the year leading up to it, because we had so many people telling us about this, we started pushing this, and we got around the world and told a lot of people. And in every time we did a presentation, no matter where it was, we told them the same thing. We weren't sure it was going to happen, were we, Evan?
Yeah.
We had so much grief going on, people lying to us, people threatening to kill us, you know, the whole thing was going on. It was really dirty. And we kept telling people, look, they say it's going to be on, but we're not sure. Now, on that day, this is what was supposed to happen. The elders were going to go to Ularu, which is what your artist drew, and they would do a secret ceremony that would sing up what they called, it's not our words, this is what they called it, the magic box. We know what's in it. It was a set of Pleiadian crystals that were placed inside Ularu. And what it would do is, if it was turned on properly, it would charge the planet up, and the planet would increase in its vibration and change itself, and humans would either have to adapt to it or leave. That was the base of the story.
Oh my gosh.
What then happened was we kept pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. And what was supposed to happen was the elders would do the secret ceremony, and then that would not be enough. I was given a number, an exact number, down to one, of the number of people from around the world that had to be meditating and sending their energy at that magic box at that time to turn it on, right? Wow. So what happens on the day? We were at Ularu on that day. We were doing a ceremony. We were told to take the rocks there, which we did, and they were part of the ceremony. We took about 80 there, set them up. We had 350 people meditating around the rocks. And on the morning of the 20th of December, the elders kicked everyone out of Ularu. There were probably 500 people there. They made them all leave. And the rock was closed down for that day and all of the next day. Most of the original people in town didn't know what was going on, because this was only secret business. And if you weren't doing it, you weren't in it. So what happened was they sung the rock up. And at the same time, we found at that stage we knew what the number was. We exceeded it by a factor of 10. There was somewhere between 15 to 20 million people around the world that were meditating on that rock at the same time. We know that's the case. We know that in some places, I think there was a certain, what was it, a pagan
festival in Sweden, I think, and they
90,000 people
stopped, and then mind you, it's snowing at the time.
Yeah. We had people in Iceland going out and putting their feet in the ground. We had them all around the world doing this, and the ceremony was utterly successful.
So I'll start the slides. Yeah.
Now, what I want to do now, very quickly, because I do want to talk about Mesrith in a sec, I want to show you something, because when I finished the ceremony, I sensed that it worked. I mean, Evan had his hands on the ground, and the ground was vibrating and vibrating through the whole of his body. And a lot of other people went through the same thing. But I remember thinking at the end of it, how am I going to prove to people that this actually happened? The Hopis spoke about this. They spoke about the fast-flowing river. They said this was going to take place. What we're going to show you now is pictures of what happened. And the Hopi told us in the Blue Kachina prophecy to look to the skies for signs.
They call it plaza, I think.
Yeah, they said, look to the plaza. There'll be signs in there. So this is what we've got. We're going to show you pictures of what happened on that time.
So that's not the sun, mind you.
That's Croatia.
And there were a lot of people that saw that.
And it happened for 5 minutes. And you can see the disc on top and the light going in there. So we're going to show you this very quickly. We're going to try and get through this in a hurry. Just keep going. So right. There's a measurement of the Schumann resonance. And at 7:32, the Schumann resonance went from 0.3 to 32 to 36 for the next 4 hours during the meditation. And that happened exactly at 7:32 when we're supposed to do this. So what we then knew was that 15 million people sending good thoughts into this planet has a reaction. Now, ever since that, the Schumann resonance has now gone dark for long periods of time. I'm sure you're aware of this, and it's gone up into the hundreds. And eventually, what we're told is there will be time in the future, in years, and not many, when the Schumann resonance will be in the hundreds or thousands and never drop down. And so many people on this planet will die because they cannot live at that high vibration. And what this is all about right now is the Schumann resonance is acclimatizing those of us who stay. But we'll go through this quickly. Okay, that is a picture of the sky after the sun had set. And they talked about the Hopi spoke about the fact that the two blue kachinas would show themselves in the sky. Now, Evan's circling this blue mark.
So there's before
sunset, and that's after sunset. And now everyone there, we spoke to the security guard and said, have you seen a sky like this before? And they said, never. Everyone was blown away by it. Now, at the same time in Georgia, because they said there'd be two brothers, one in the northern hemisphere, one in the southern hemisphere. At exactly the same time in Georgia, where the moon is in control, you've got the same blue light. Now, if you go back to our one, the one before, the sun had set. And we had that massive dark blue in the center. And I knew straight away, that's the two brothers. We have one there, but we didn't know about the Georgian one. So move along, please, Evan. We're going to go through this very quickly. There is so much of this, we could put up a lot more. Lights in the sky, this is what we got around the world at the same time. Very quick, Evan, as you go through there. This one in Glasgow, the paper called this like something from the War of the Worlds. No, it's the War of this world, beginning now. And you'll notice that some of those lights, there is that sky I'm talking about. It went from Ularu, men's site, to Katajuka, which is a woman's site. That cloud went across, and right in the center is that gap. Now, that gap is important, and I'm going to get to that in a sec. Next one, please, Evan. Right, what Evan's going to show you now is somebody was filming Ularu at a different place at 7:37. They did not see this, and Evan will play it twice. You're going to watch Ularu, and look what happens. Play it a second time, please, Evan. Did you see that explosion of white that covered the whole sky but did not touch the rock? That is when the actual magic box was turned on. Now, next up, what we're going to show you, because we're doing this ever so quickly, there's a lot more to this. This is a person, don't put it on yet, this is a person who's legally blind that pulled up. They're blind. Now, they're filming a UFO. This is the only time you're going to see a UFO where they don't even know it's there. He was filming the sky. Everyone was. But what I want you to watch in this is two things. You'll see it twice. It's a 1 minute, 30-second video. You'll see it moving ever so slowly. And I'm going to tell you now, we've done research on this. The last plane that was flying in Northern Territory, there was one plane flying at that time. It was 400 kilometers to the west. It was a passenger flying, and you couldn't even see it. The last helicopter landed at 5:30. So it is not a helicopter, not a plane. But halfway through, you're going to go back to the car park, and you're going to see a lady holding up her mobile phone. But she's not aiming at Ularu or the clouds. She's watching this UFO too. There's some music that was put onto this, so bear with me. So everyone's going to play this now. Look for the slow-moving object at 7:32. There it is.
I'm trying to keep my mouse on it.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I want to make one point. There's a picture of, and I want to tell you one very important point before we leave this, and I really want to talk about Mesref at the finish here. Mm-hmm. At 59 and 60 seconds, that's not a picture at 59 and 60 seconds. The object is gone, but one of the people was watching this slowed this down completely. And what they did was they slowed the whole thing down, and on the 59th and 60th second, where you don't see it, there are 4 frames per second, but in one of the frames, in each one of the frames on the 59th and 60th second, it is there, but it's not there for the other 3, which means it disappears, then for a fraction of a second you see it, then it disappears for a fraction of a second, then it's gone completely. There is no flying object on this planet that can do this. It's beyond the technology of anyone. We've been told by others that the aliens were watching to see if the ceremony was successful. It is flying towards that blue hole and it disappears up that hole. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what I'd like to do in finishing, can we leave that one, please, Evan, now? And I'd like to involve you, and Jessica, I did tell you this at the start, we were going to do this.
Okay.
We have an off-world guide, Lea, one of the people who works in our group, Evan, myself, and Lea, there's 3 of us who do this together. And she's in contact with a being called Mesref. Now, that's a really easy thing to say. And I'm going to tell you, when I met her the first time, I thought, yeah, right, prove it. And I found a way of doing that. I asked her 10 questions because Mesref basically has been watching the Earth since the beginning and knows virtually everything. I know that's a lot to say, but we're going to try and find out if it's true in a step. Okay. And what happened was this. I asked her 10 questions, 2 of which my wife didn't know the answer to, and she gave me the answer to all 10 of them. Then I stopped arguing. So what we've done is in our presentations we do, and we've got one coming up next Saturday and Sunday, Saturday for you guys and Sunday for us. We always have an interview with Mesref, and I ask a series of questions, and he gives answers. And we've got a book where we've put the transcript together, and we've done 10 of the transcripts. And what I'd like to do in the time we've got left is I've taken 5 questions. And what I want to show you, because it's easy for me to say this guy knows everything, but I want to prove it. So what I'm going to do is this. I asked the questions, and I didn't know what the answer was. So I'm going to ask the question, and before Evan reads the answer out, I'm going to ask you, Jessica, to give us the answer. And we'll see how you scrub up against Mesref. Are you ready?
Pressure's on. I'm ready.
Okay, here we go. Question number 1. Okay. It says this: humans have 7 million different faces, different fingerprints, height, style, and everything else. Why are humans so distinguishable and unique? What is it that's different about our genes? Over to you, Jessica.
Oh, my goodness. That's a good question. I don't know. I mean, we're all very unique. There's not one single person that's the same. We don't think the same. Why? We don't look the same. But why? I don't know. Source God. I'm not sure.
All right.
That's
Evan,
a good question.
He's going to read Mesref. This is his answer.
Okay.
You were molded by many different hands over many ages, but sometimes nature would take its course. After every 1,000,000 years, my kin would come and look. However, in recent times, our other children, the Zanesh, had a hand in your development. They were grand and their flesh crafting was unmatched for an age. But their folly was a greed, and they grew too comfortable in luxury. Their influence spread across many worlds, but after one small, poor choice, they became brittle and ultimately shattered.
So we've a genetic experiment that's been done time after time after time.
Wow.
Okay. Now the next one, I'm trying to work out which one. Oh, here it is here. Okay, this one. Yes, during this time, an extensive time, what assistance and hindrance did the aliens fallen community offer as humans staggered through the destruction in Atlantis and Lemuria? What were they doing to help and guide us? So what were the aliens doing to help and guide us during that time?
Probably to stop the destruction, I would assume.
Okay, let's see what Mesrev said.
Which one?
That one.
Okay. What we offer is chances and choices. The only hindrance is the blind fear of consequences.
Oh.
There is no consequence that you cannot learn from, but we will ensure that you have the opportunity to do so.
That's a good lesson, actually. That's true. We all have karma. We all make our own choices,
Exactly.
right? Yeah.
Okay. Here's the next one. Okay. My first question is this. This is how I would have read that out, and then we've just transcribed what was written in our thing. Is it true to say that the alien race also ranges from almost ascended to uncaring and purely self-interested, as many of us are today? Is that a fair call? If that's what's happened over here, there, is that what's happened over there on the other side? No, what I'm saying is, well, they're as bad as us. Now, what do you think?
I think that it's a whole range of everything. I mean, what does bad mean? I mean, what is bad?
Oh, you get a tick from Mesrev because he doesn't believe there's such a thing as good and evil. He would
Right.
like that one. He'd be very impressed with that.
Thank
give
you.
you this. That's really
I
good.
like
You
to
get
think
a
I'm
tick.
advanced. I'm just kidding.
Not just the species, not just social groups or movements, but individuals. No two minds are the same in this universe. The ascended are the ones who believe they are heavy, while the heavy believe they are ascended. With that, chaos is born. And whenever there is life, there is chaos. Indulge in this gift.
Okay, so
Yes.
chaos is a gift, which
Yeah,
means
it
right
is.
now we've got a lot of gifts going on right
We
now.
do. We're overflowing in gifts right now. Yes. The universe's gift.
Okay, I'm going to skip that one because we're going to run out of time here. And I do want to go to this one in particular. Right. Oh, yeah. Here's one. I'm not going to get through all these. I'm just going to grab a couple. This is one I find quite interesting. Look, one thing I want to tell the listeners and the viewers, by the way, both ways, whatever you're doing there. The one thing that he's told me time after time is all the aliens are attracted to humans because we have something that they admire, something they really admire. And, of course, I've got to be honest with you, Jessica, I've had a lot of trouble getting my head around what it is. And he won't tell me. I've asked many times and he will not tell me.
Try to ask in different ways.
And I tried to trick him this time. I tried to trick him with a question I thought was quite clever. And I said this: what quality do humans have that you find the most appealing and inspiring? And what qualities do they possess that you find the most disappointing?
Wow.
So what would you say our quality is the most inspiring is?
I would say compassion would be one of my top ones.
Okay, but now you've got to do something. What's the worst thing?
Fear or guilt, things like that.
No, she didn't get a good score this time, did she? I expected 2 answers, right? Because you gave me, didn't you? He gave me 8 words in one sentence and answered both of them. Now, you might think, how is it possible to answer the best and worst thing we've ever got? Evan, this is what he told me.
There?
No, there.
Okay. Oh, humans create innovative ways to cheat the test.
Cheaters. Yeah.
Innovative ways. So it's
innovative cheating.
Requires the most. Know that we're innovative, but we cheat the test because when we come here, it's a test. He's told us, and Dolores Cannon said this too. In fact, it's interesting that everything Dolores Cannon said, I've said to him, he's agreed with. This is the most difficult planet in the cosmos to be evolving. It's the heaviest and the densest. And Mesrev said that's a gift because your soul can advance more on this planet than any other planet. So look upon it as a gift because the injustices are part of the deal that comes with this particular place. So it's quite interesting that is a really important part of this. Now, I'm going to close with one more because we're running out of time. And I wanted to do something which he also says, by the way, when he talks about heaven and hell, he makes it very clear. It's there. You are heaven and hell. And this is a story about that. And I wanted to ask a question. These are taken from different transcripts because each one would have a couple of main themes I wanted to talk about. And this one is this. There is one song, it's an Australian song that has the words, the devil inside, the devil inside. Every single one of us has the devil inside. Is the lyricist right? So that's the first question. If so, how do we deal with this demon in residence? Is it best to fight, flight, or manage? What would be your answer?
I would manage. I guess, I don't know. I fight, I flight, and I manage. I don't know. I say all three.
Do you know what? You should have gone with your first answer and you
had it. That's what I was
should. We looked both at one another. We said,
but I started thinking. But then my rational brain kicked in.
Right. I will let Mesref tell you. Okay.
Heaven and hell are not separate planes, nor are they on earth. They live within you. You're your own angels and demons. Any good or misfortune that befalls you is sometimes out of one's control. But what is your ability to handle it? If you run from your demons, they grow larger. If you fight them, then you become them. But if you master yourself, then you are king.
So he said you manage it. Like you said, to master yourself, you had it to begin with. Because what he said was, if you fight them, you become them. Okay? And if you run from them, they grow larger.
That's
but
right.
if you manage them, then you are king.
Yes.
So what this is about, this is a book that's called Interview with an Alien, but it's not. We're not asking him because he actually doesn't care about planets. He doesn't care about spaceships. His only interest is us, our soul, and who we are, and the experiment we're part of. This is a universal experiment, this place we live in. And what it is him giving information on how you can become one of the beings that stays. Because he made it clear in the first interview when we did the very first thing, that ceremony was successful and each human on this planet has to lift their vibration. If they don't, when the earth finally locks into this highest vibration, you will perish. This is what the Mayans spoke about. It's what the Hopi spoke about. They spoke about the time of change. They came for this time of change and they will be showing themselves soon. And it's interesting that drawing there of Ularu with the aliens, they were there. They saw this and they knew about Ularu and what it was going to do. And what is in this book, what it's about, is they can't directly interfere, but they can indirectly interfere. What Mesref is doing is talking to Lea. She writes it down, and then we put this down in this book. And what it is, it's a how-to guide. How to stay and vibrate at the highest level possible. You see, on the back of this book, I say something like this. If I could say to you, if you could talk to God, only a fool would say no. But what if I could give you the next in line? Would you be engaging in a conversation? I did ask him once, has he been mistaken as an angel? He said, I've been mistaken as an angel, an archangel, and a fallen angel. Because you said one other thing that they've told us time after time after time. They do not acknowledge the word good and evil. Because we're all those things at any given moment.
Yeah.
Humans can be a serial killer 1 second after I stop speaking if they want to. And they can become an angel too. We can disappear up a porthole if we could see it. We have the potential, I've been told by these beings, to be at least as good and as worthy as anything else in the cosmos. Humans are different because we are living on the most difficult school that was ever created. And what they've done here is they've put everything together into one huge mixing bowl to see if they could find a way that we could all get on. And if we could all get on here, it would go out throughout the whole cosmos. So when that ceremony took place 3 years ago and it exploded and you saw the light come out of Ularu, that just didn't go through this planet. It went through the whole of the cosmos. So that's what this is all about. And I know we're nearly out of
Yes.
time. I had to finish
We
it now.
are. I wish I could talk with you all day. Daytime, your time, nighttime over here. Stephen, Evan, thank y'all so much for joining us tonight. This has just been mind blowing. And I one of my main things that I like to leave everyone with all the time is raise your vibration. You know, get your vibration as high as you can. We're in a place right now where the earth's vibration is changing. We have to change with it. Don't get left behind. Okay, so we're here to expand the consciousness of the planet, and I think you guys are on the top of the. You guys are on top of it, and this has just been a blessing to have you here tonight. So thank y'all so much. Now I know you guys have an event coming up, and I do have a picture here of the flyer. If you'd like to tell the audience about it.
Yeah, so that's coming up in about a week and a half.
Yeah, look, we did chapter 26. We did a lot of archaeology about aliens from above.
Yeah, we had Dr. Caesar with us, and
Yeah,
he had from Peru.
And he was doing Central American and also Peru, Chile, and so this is a different part. This is messages from above, and it's going to be more esoteric. In fact, the lady we have with us is a disciple of Dolores Cannon, and Dolores Cannon is our favorite prophet because everything she says, the mob from up there have agreed to everything. So we decided we couldn't get Dolores. We got her along there. We were also going to do a big talk with, I'm going to be talking to Mesrith about pyramids, something different again, a message from above there. And we're going to be talking about more of the esoteric stuff. That stuff I told you about, those two rocks there, I'll be talking about that and a lot of other stuff. I'm doing readings from Mesrith again. And if people want to buy that book, they certainly can.
Yes.
You can get it on Amazon and Booktopia and all that sort of stuff. Don't buy it from us if you're not in Australia because it costs us about $5,000 to send it over.
Yes, the shipping.
In Australia, it's fine, but anywhere else, forget about it.
You've got to buy it through Amazon and Booktopia. Sorry, we signed the ones in Australia, but we can't do it elsewhere.
Okay, and so in this, your website is forgottenorigin.com. So you guys go check them out. Okay, and yes, this has been a blessing. It really has been to have you here tonight. So I hope that you'll come back and join us again, and keep up the good work. I mean, it's amazing what you guys are doing, and we're here for you if you need to get the information out. Okay.
We're happy
All right.
happy to talk to you again. We enjoyed the 2 hours. It was really enjoyable.
Thank you.
We've
I wish I
only
could have you on for 5 hours.
Well, we got more than that stuff. We got so much other stuff we didn't talk about, but yeah, we did bits and pieces, which was good. We got more,
You do. Well, wonderful. Well, you guys have a wonderful day. Thank you again so much for being here. It's such a pleasure meeting you both. All right. Thank you. Okay, y'all, I'm going to take a 5-minute break, and then we're going to be right back with the last part of our show tonight, and I will see y'all in just a few minutes. Y'all hold tight for about 5 minutes. Thanks, guys. Okay.
Bye.
All right. Welcome back to Space Out Radio, everybody. Boy, was that an interview right there. That was amazing. Okay, that was pretty mind-blowing. And we're at the last part of our show tonight, and I have a couple of amazing Bigfoot friends here with me tonight. I have Mr. Duke from World Bigfoot Radio, Duke Sullivan, and Robin McCrae joining me tonight. Hey, y'all.
Hey.
Thank y'all for being here.
Big Sky, howdy.
Oh, yeah. Robin, I get to see you in a couple of weeks in person.
I know. We're going to have so much fun. Georgia Bigfoot Conference in Dillard, Georgia. First time we're doing it in Dillard. We normally do it in Clayton, so this will be the first time with Dillard, but it should be really fun. We're going to have a lot of fun there. We always do.
Oh yeah, I got to meet you there last year. We had a really good time. It's going to be a little different this year. Different location.
Yeah.
Same great crowd.
Yeah. And tickets are selling like crazy, so it should be really good.
Yes. I'm looking forward to it. I'm bringing my son. I think Dr. John said that he might pay him $20 to dress up like a Bigfoot. So he's on. So he's coming. He's going to make his $20. Darn it, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, we have a lot of fun. They're going to do the meet and greet thing on Friday night, so that'll be fun, and then the conference on Saturday.
Yeah, I'm looking.
And then we have the 21st and 22nd in Nebraska. We have the Nebraska Bigfoot Conference. Duke will be there. I will be there. William Lunsford will be there. Stephen Hill will be there. We have a surprise guest coming. Christy Sci-Fi isn't speaking this year, but she will be there to visit with. We've got Keith Crabtree coming. We got a lot of good people.
And I know Christy Sci-Fi too. I think I met both of them at the Alabama Bigfoot Conference last year.
Oh, okay. Yeah, she's awesome. She's awesome.
Well, heck yeah. Well, Duke, what's been going on? I don't think I've ever talked to you on air before, face to face on the web.
Yeah, I think this is a first.
This is a first. Absolutely. This is a
overwhelmingly too busy. Generally, I have the problem of having 3 or 4 guests pending to record that can't show up at the last minute.
Gosh.
And that happened 2 weeks in a row. And now everybody's showing up all at the same week going, I can record. So every night I'm recording somebody. I just recorded earlier today. I recorded, day before yesterday.
Yeah.
Tomorrow I got another show to record. Saturday I'm recording with Daniel and Robin.
Yep.
To recap all the amazing adventures and encounters and stuff that Daniel had for the 2 weeks he spent down there in the Falk area with William Lunsford. And they had Robin on the phone a lot, asking her what was happening.
It was so much fun.
He was doing aerial recon for them while they were on the ground.
Yeah, and we have a surprise guest that's going to be coming to Duke's show soon. And hopefully we'll be able to get that released soon as well. And then once they are done there, they're going to pop on over to Spaced Out Radio. So we're looking forward to that as well.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
So, Robin, you're busy because I know you're at Scary Cast as well.
Yeah.
Are you still doing that?
Yep. I've been doing it for 4 years with John. So that's on Monday nights. He has 2. He has Monday night and Tuesday night. And I do Tuesday or Monday night. So doing that and various podcasts. And then these are really the only 2 conferences I normally do. But this year, I'm assistant manager for the Nebraska Bigfoot Conference. So normally I always help anyway. Harriet's a good friend of mine. And so this year I've got a little bit more on my plate. So yeah, it's been busy.
Are you in Nebraska? Is that where you live?
No, absolutely not. I'm in South Carolina.
Okay. I thought you were down here with me somewhere.
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a lot of long distance phone calls. I usually end up starting on the phone about 8 o'clock in the morning, and then I usually get a chance to touch base with Duke at like middle of the night. If I can't get him during the day. And I still work with a lot of people, that just either have questions or just want to talk and tell me their story or whatever. So, and that's a good thing too. So.
Yeah. What kind of Bigfoots do they have in Nebraska? Do they have a nice population out there?
I think so. I think, and Duke can testify to this, when we were there last year, they were coming up by the house. We got handprints from all over the car, so yeah, definitely.
Yeah, all the places I've been, that was the one where I would have judged it to be least likely that there would be any Sasquatch activity.
Really?
You're in several hundred miles of flat plains with nothing but
Cornfields.
cornfields.
I've been there.
The only place that they live basically is the riparian areas around the rivers, which are huge. reservation. They land up there, and gigantic karst systems underneath Nebraska. So they do lots of subterranean traveling around there.
Wow.
Well, Duke and Christy were at the end of the house outside on the porch, and it was nighttime, and where we stayed, the bottom level of the house is an apartment. So Duke was in one room, my husband Pat and I were in another room, and then Christy was crashed on the couch. So Duke and Christy are out on the end of the porch at the end of the house, and Pat and I are in the bedroom, and I look up, and here's this huge Bigfoot walks right in front of the window. So yeah, it was pretty active over there.
Yeah, they got this like backyard patio that's got a bunch of different Bigfoot interpretive stuff in it, including a small structure that Harriet started building one fall before the snow fell. And when she came back in the spring, someone had finished building it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't her.
Yeah, she's got a handicap accessible garden, and it has different things in there about the Bigfoot, and she's got a tribute to the military and various things in it. And so in fact, we're going to have another grand opening for that because she's added more onto it, as well as more onto the museum. She has the Bigfoot Museum in Nebraska. So they go back there and tinker.
Yeah, that's a major spot too. That's the Mid-America Bigfoot stopover right there. The Nebraska Bigfoot Museum is listed in the Library of Congress too. So it's, major people were involved in helping with exhibits and stuff. And since she's opening another
we've got some great exhibits,
more room available, so I get to actually put one in there. And all I'm sending is screenshot montage of the largest X structure ever filmed.
Yeah, he's going to be.
Thank you.
He's going to be there. I'm going to have a display with some other really cool things in it. And then we've got Blaine Tyler's going to have some things in there, William Lunsford, Stephen Hill. So we're
very little known. Sorry, let me interrupt for a second, Robin. Blaine is actually putting in a very interesting contribution to the exhibits there, because a lot of people that are involved in Bigfoot know about the famous Bossberg cripple track, which is one of the earliest things that was looked at by actual, scientists and went, well, wait a minute, how'd they fake this thing? This is weird. Gerber Krantz took a look at it and drew the outline of the bones on it and went, you'd have to be an anatomist and a primatologist to understand how the bones would be laid out differently than a human foot in order to fake this thing. So I'm giving this about a 99.9% chance of being real. And you do occasionally find these weird deformed tracks. Robin's another person that had one for a while. She had a cast of it, which got broken and destroyed during her trip over to Siberia.
Yeah.
And Blaine Tyler still has a cast of his. So he made silicone gel of the one that he got up in Northeast Ontario, which is really creepy looking, extra crippled, deformed, nasty Bigfoot foot. And he got that track line. He's got it all incredibly documented on his channel. And while he was there filming it, he accidentally caught probably one of, if not the largest Sasquatch ever caught on video in the same area. It was about 100 yards away from him down at the end of this gravel pit. And he just did a long pan and accidentally caught it standing there out in the open watching him.
How big was it? Did he say
how
tall it was?
After he noticed it was there, he went, well, that one's big. Look at it. It's built like the Hulk. It's massive. And it looks like it's really big, but he hadn't been down to that end of the gravel pit. So he had to actually go back there and walk down there because there was a tree it was standing next to. So he could definitely scale it for height. He could see where its head was in relation to where there was this branch on the side of the tree and a fork up above it. So he went, okay, all I got to do is go find that tree and measure up to where that fork is, and I'll know exactly how tall it is. But once he got there and started walking, he realized that thing is a lot further away than I thought it was, which means that's a lot bigger than I thought it was. He's there by himself. This is Canada. You can't have guns. So he's walking up to this area, kind of creeped out, and he finally gets up there and gets his tape measure on the tree and measures it. And it's between 16 and 17 feet tall.
Whoa. That's a big one.
Really big.
We're really lucky he's making a copy of that cast that will be in the Bigfoot Museum in Hastings, Nebraska. So we got really lucky with that too. Should be pretty good. She's enlarged the museum this year, plus the conference. And it'll be a 2-day conference. And then we've got movies that'll be played Friday night. So it'll be quite a big deal. I'll have a lot of fun.
Do y'all have a website where people can go and get tickets?
Yeah, and it's Nebraska Bigfoot Conference 2023. And you can go right on there. You can order your tickets as a package that will include both Friday and Saturday, as well as the movies, because there'll be 2 movies that'll be played. Or you can, pick it by day or just the movie. Ultimately, it's cheaper if you do it as the package. After April 1st, tickets go up like $5. So, now's the best time to do it. We've got a great list of people, and we are almost done with next year's. So, yeah, every year it grows and grows and grows. So,
I tell you,
See, there's. Well,
oh,
excuse
go
me.
ahead.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead, Duke.
Well, I was going to say there's people in chat asking about where can they find that video where Blaine got that giant Bigfoot. We did a ridiculously in-depth breakdown on that on my channel. It's a video called Mega Squatch, and it not only shows that thing, but we talk about several other sightings of ridiculously large Bigfoot that have happened basically along the American-Canadian border or further north. And just recently, Fred Rule, which you've had on your
I
show,
know Fred. Fred in
had
Alaska.
a piece of Bigfoot video that a helicopter surveyor sent him that he showed on episode 106, and a few days later was mysteriously taken down. I want to ask him about
Off of YouTube?
Whoever took it down, it's not up anymore. But anyway, this video was very interesting. I sent it to Robin. She took a look at it too and confirmed on it. Blaine Tyler looked at it and confirmed on it. And this guy had just landed. He was doing a survey for a gold claim. And in Alaska, that doesn't mean there's a road there. As a matter of fact, it's so far out in the middle of nowhere, you have to take a helicopter to get there. So once he gets out of the helicopter, his job is to walk over to the survey stake and verify it's still there. And, take a quick pan around to the camera. Everything's still here. Nobody's here looting your ground. And then he can fly back out again. So he starts the video up where he's over by the survey stake and he's filming the survey stake. Here's the stake. I'm in the right place. Turns around to the camera. There's the copter. Blades are still spinning a little bit. And then he starts to turn back and he turns the camera off again. Well, he didn't realize it, but he caught it, I would say minimum 15-foot Sasquatch standing in the tree line watching him. Yeah, and it's like the trees are below its chest. The treetops are below its chest. So you can guess how gigantic that is. But Robin took a look at it and said that thing's got an energy signature like a nuclear power plant.
It does, yeah. It does. You can, whether a picture is blurry or not, everything has an energy signature. Yeah. It's like we just got done talking with these wonderful guys about the rocks. They carry a huge amount of energy. They're absolutely right about it. The forest people will use the rocks and the crystals because of the energy they hold, and they can use it to do anything from heightening their abilities to magical abilities to whatever they choose to use it for, because they hold that much energy in it.
Wow. Yeah, well, quartz, there's something that I always pick up at all the Bigfoot investigation sites that we go to. I put a couple of pieces of quartz in my bag. And and so I have a collection of all the quartz. I feel like it holds that energy there.
It does.
When there's Bigfoot activity, we were just at the Meadows, place that my team investigates down here in the South, and I took my son for a day trip down there, and he came on with a box of quartz right where this portal had opened, and my team had documented this portal. There's just something about it. I'm I guess you guys were watching earlier with my guest. There's have like sacred stones and things like that.
Yeah.
It just holds that energy,
Well, and the thing is when people, they go out and they do this research and you see a cave or, tunnels or whatever, their first instinct, of course, is to go in it and see what's in there. You have to be careful, because if you're talking about a cave system, like when you're in Colorado, most of your cave systems in there have got, quartz in it. You're not going to be the only thing in there. You may be, because they all flock to it. They want the quartz. They want the rocks that are going to generate all that energy, the vibration, and the power that comes along with them. And so you end up going in and you find more than you bargained for in there. Don Monroe, he went in the cave system and he came in at one point and he came out with this thing. What kind of ET it was or what kind of creature, nobody knows to this day. Harriet has pictures of it in her museum, and Don has sent me pictures of it to look at. Elongated skull, weird shaped face, almond shaped eyes, just really, really bizarre. But it was in there. Again, there's crystals in that cave.
Wow.
I can vouch for that too. All the hottest Bigfoot hotspots that I do research at all have plentiful quartz supplies.
Mm-hmm.
The ghost town of Coloma, hey, that was the ghost town because it was a mine. It was a gold mine. What else
Yep.
is in the ground where there's gold? Quartz. All of the old ancient megaliths and stuff. Look at how many of those things are made out of quartz of different kinds, including the Great Pyramid. Base of it's made out of quartz. Why? Because quartz generates piezoelectric current.
Mm-hmm.
In the ghost town that I go to, you can find quartz, pure quartz chunks the size of your fist lying on the ground. It's all over the
Yeah.
damn place. And so they go up there and they can soak up all of that earth energy coming out of that piezoelectric charge from the quartz, which recharges them a lot faster. In my other area, it's not really readily apparent that there's quartz all over there. But when those guys decided to leave me a present, they left me 3 coffee cans full of quartz rocks, all pure quartz in a big pile. Okay, that's
Yeah.
a lot more rocks than I needed. Thanks, guys.
I get them. The
Send
forest
'em to
people
me,
come
I'll
up and
take
put them
'em.
on my porch. I mean, they literally will. I'll go outside and they'll either have a white rock on there or they'll have a piece of quartz sitting on my porch.
Yeah. Yeah, and it depends on what they did to them too. They could have charged it so it's now a palantir. So well, you have it sitting on your counter, they can watch you.
Oh, they do. They'll use it like they will.
Oh
They'll
my
use it like a
gosh.
looking glass. They will
It
look
could be
you
like a
literally.
portal.
It
It
is.
could-
I mean,
yeah.
there's so many ways that they can use it for so many various different things, and they'll watch you through it.
Well, I've heard of Stranger Things. Okay, so I absolutely. If
Another
you can
thing they
imagine
can
it,
use
can
it for
happen.
is if they've got a connection with that rock so that they can watch you through it or something. If you're carrying it around with you, you got a GPS beacon.
Yep.
You know exactly where you are all the
And
time.
they will follow you. They will absolutely follow you with it.
Yes. Maybe I shouldn't be bringing the quartz home then.
Depends.
All right, now I'm questioning all that quartz.
If
I
you
have
don't want to
downstairs.
bring home, like a closed circuit TV camera that somebody else gets
Oh
to
my
look
gosh,
at,
a
maybe.
Bigfoot CCTV camera.
Yeah, exactly.
Great.
Yep. You're live on Squatch TV.
Oh my gosh. Well, I have some in my room too. That's not good. If they're opening portals in your house, oh my gosh, now I'm looking at it differently. Hey, I'm going to put it all up for sale on eBay if anybody wants some quartz.
Oh my goodness.
It's going to be in my Etsy shop tomorrow.
There
okay?
you go. There you go.
For cheap. Yeah. Yeah, if a hologram comes out of my quartz tomorrow, I'm going to know why now.
Yeah, exactly.
Bigfoot hologram. So I'm going to have to like return
Yeah, if you
to
start
the
hearing
Jedi.
voices coming out of the quartz rock going, peanut butter, bring peanut butter.
Peanut butter.
Or if you hear a voice that says, I can see you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to try to not think that way. Oh my gosh. I'm going to terrify my son. I'm glad he's sleeping right now. He's not hearing this conversation. He'd get rid of all of it tomorrow.
I tell you what, they are active right now. I don't know if anybody else is getting the action that we're getting over here, but they are, yeah, they're really active right now.
Yeah,
More so than normal.
The last time that I went out, it wasn't the last time I went out, but to let's say North Georgia, okay, at one spot. I mean, it was within like 5-10 minutes. I got out of the car. We got out of the car, and there was immediately an orb, a huff, a growl. I mean, all sorts of stuff going on. And this is a place we could like drive the car to. Okay. I couldn't believe the activity we were getting right off the bat, right when we got to this spot.
Yeah, I'm getting contacted daily from people that it's just off the charts. I mean, we had a couple of them that were standing out here in the bushes today. I went to take the dogs outside. And of course, the dogs are all happy because they play with them, so they were all worked up and they were happy. But I was here the other night, and in fact, I told Duke about this. I was literally at home, and my dogs are used to the deer. We have deer that come into the yard all the time. They no longer care. The dogs, and I have a ton of dogs here. It's insanity. But they normally don't bark at the deer. They just will sleep through it or look at them and say whatever. And the dogs just went nuts. And they got up to the screen and were looking out the window. And all of a sudden they jumped back like they were absolutely terrified. And I'm like, okay, now you have my attention. Because there's no, it's not just a deer. I looked out and I saw a doe. And I thought, I'm going to go check this out. So I left the bedroom where the dogs were and went out towards the front door. And I had these big glass panels around my door. So I'm watching out the door. And I'm like, oh, it's a doe and a fawn. but why are my dogs now terrified? Some were hiding under the bed. A couple of them got up on the bed. And I'm like, what's going on? I look at the end of my driveway, and the doe had crossed from my yard across the dirt road and then walked back across up for my driveway. And there's on the opposite side, there's like a 3-foot ledge there. And she was eating grass and head was down, very relaxed, tail was flicking back and forth. I look at the end of my driveway, and here's a Bigfoot kid sitting there. Like, he's literally sitting there watching this doe. And she's oblivious. It's like she didn't even realize that he was there. And he's just sitting there. He eventually goes and he stands up. He goes down on his belly and does the belly crawl across the road. Because I'm on a dirt road. I'm out in the middle of the woods. Across over to her. And he's down by her feet. And I did ask, what they were doing. And they said teaching. They're teaching. So my take on what was going on is they're teaching him how to stalk the deer, how to hunt the deer or whatever. And they basically tranced her. And for anybody that's ever been tranced, they know that your brain is still functioning completely, because they've tranced me before when they've come up and touched me. And, your brain is fully functioning and you're like, oh yeah, this is what's going on. But your body, while it's still mobile, it doesn't react in a fearful manner. It stays completely quiet. And that's exactly what she did. And this baby was able to belly crawl up to her, go around her feet. I watched him for like 15 minutes before he finally left. But it was a riot, because I looked at the end of my driveway and I'm like, it looks like this little Buddha sitting there. The back of a chimp sitting there. And I'm thinking it's not a dog. It's way too big to be a cat. It'd have to be a large dog at that. And he was just literally sitting at the end of my driveway. It was hysterical.
Wow.
And she was back
it a
the next
juvenile?
night. It was just a baby. He was probably standing up, I would say probably 3 foot.
Oh my
maybe
gosh,
3.5.
little
So,
one.
yeah, he's a little guy. We've had,
baby.
Yeah. So, and they were basically teaching him how to stalk the deer.
Teach him
And
early.
he sat there. He was by it when I first looked out in the yard. He was on the far side of the deer, and I thought I saw him, but I wasn't sure. It was because it was dark out. And we have a floodlight out front, so it's easier to see. But I did see she had a fawn with her. So I didn't think anything more about it. And then when she doubled back and went across from the driveway, I'm looking at her, and I just happened to glance over towards the end of the driveway, and I'm like, wait a minute, we have no statues. What is this? And it looked like a little kid sitting Indian style if you were looking at the back of him.
Oh,
Before he stood up and then dropped down and did the belly crawl.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, Derek in the chat, he's making a comment about the Bigfoots in Georgia. I used to live down here, not too far from Dublin. I actually had to drive past it to go to Georgia Southern University when I was a youngin'. But yeah, Bigfoot sightings, they're all over South Georgia, especially right now. So interesting.
Yeah, they're out and about making their presence known.
Absolutely. That's amazing. How many Bigfoots do you have living around your property, Robin?
Hey, before we go on, are we not supposed to take a break here shortly?
I don't know. Are we?
Bottom of the hour? Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I took a break 30 minutes ago, so I didn't know.
Yeah.
Maybe we do. If we do, I'll take one. Y'all let me know.
We have.
I'm new here.
Yeah.
I've got 3 separate clans here, and then I have a group of the ones from Michigan here. And then I also have dogmen here, and then 1 werewolf. So, and I've gotten pictures of the cat people. And then, of course, we have the UFOs 2 or 3 times a week over the house. And I've gotten pictures of them. And actually, World Bigfoot Radio is a really, really good video of the UFO. In fact, MUFON flipped out, went nuts over it. And I've got pictures of the ETs that have been here as well.
They seem to go hand in hand sometimes. ETs and
They
Bigfoots.
do. So everywhere you go. I've gotten more bizarre cryptids. I have a photo from the shoulder up of a lizard man in the backyard. I have a headshot of a puckwudgie in the backyard. A picture of a cat person with a younger one underneath of it. They all hang out together. I mean, even if they're not interacting with each other, they're all out in that space. I have a picture of a little person. Yeah, my house is a freak show.
Well, you probably have portals on your property, I'm assuming.
I do. I have one across from my driveway, and we have a werewolf that guards that one. And then I have one off in my backyard off to the side, there's a smaller one that's closer to the ground. And so far, my cat loves to go in and out it, and you can watch the cat go in and then just vanish.
Oh, wow.
Which is a little
Portals.
disconcerting. He always comes back. But I have a picture of a portal outside my garage door that has a UFO above it. And then you see the portal opened underneath of it and a head coming out.
Oh my gosh. That's
All
that's
these
a little
pictures
scary.
are on World Bigfoot
but-
Radio because I've sent them all to Duke and he's put them up on his
Yeah.
shows. And then you have more than one kind of portal. You have some that are anchored, some that aren't anchored, some that they open as they wish. And so we've walked out in the yard and seen one open like in the front yard and have all the different colors and things on it. And, then we've got the anchored ones and we've got the free floating ones. Yeah.
Wow.
It's definitely different.
Yeah, Duke, we're not doing the radio thing tonight. So Dave told me just to take breaks every hour. So,
Okay.
yeah, we can take a break if you need one, though.
No, you guys can keep going, but I'm
Okay.
taking a break.
We can always say, just take a break whenever you need it. We'll do some ladies talk. Yeah, that's really awesome, Robin. I know you have quite a relationship with I want to say creatures, but they're beings. They're like forest people,
Yeah,
on your
they're a
property.
type of people. They're not our type of
Yeah.
people, but they are 100% a type of people.
Yes,
They're an ancient people. I think in my opinion, they were here before we were. So
I believe that too.
yeah,
Ancient.
and just there's so many different beings, I guess, for lack of a better word, and they all kind of go around. We have one cryptid that we don't even know what it's called. The Bigfoot call it a Micaiah, which is a blanket term for thee that walks the earth that has no name, and it's just an unidentified cryptid. I don't know what it is, but it shows up from time to time. It's non-violent, doesn't try to hurt anybody. I've watched it walk down the side of my trees and down towards the wood and then cloak and walk off. So it does what it does. I mean, so far I've been really lucky. The ones here are really good. I don't have a problem with everybody getting along. Have I ever dealt with bad ones? Absolutely not on my property, though. I've not had that
That's
experience.
good.
I've gone to other areas and helped different people that have had aggressive ones, and I've had to deal with them there. But the ones here, I don't have an issue with. They're just pretty much all over the map.
I have a feeling you would put your foot down before you
I
let
do.
one mess
Absolutely.
with you. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
know you
tolerate.
would.
We had adolescents that the way my house is, it's a 2-story, but my bedroom suite on the lower floor sticks out and there is nothing above it. The second story goes above the middle of the house and over the garage. And the adolescents would get up there and play on my roof. They'd climb the giant pine tree next to the house and jump up on the roof, and they had a ball. And I kept saying, you need to get the kids down. You need to get them down. And nobody was doing anything. I mean, I went out there with the mom voice. I was bad. I was like, you
The
will
mom
get your
voice.
hairy butts off this roof
You
right
called
now.
them by their full names, didn't
Yeah.
you?
I'm like, or I'm going to council and you're going to get your butts fried. You are not playing on my, and we haven't had any more issues with it.
Oh,
They
man, I
had-
have no doubt.
yeah. Yeah, no, you have to set boundaries, and not that they always listen. I'll be honest with you. They don't listen to me any more than they do anybody else, but there are times that the mom voice works.
That's even with humans. You have to set boundaries. I have learned that the hard way. Yes.
Yeah, and I just kind of look at it that I can set the boundaries because each one of them are individualized. Whether or not they respect my boundaries, that's a different thing.
Right.
But so far, the relationship I have with the ones that I interact with, it's based on respect. I don't go out and push their buttons, and they usually don't try to push mine. That doesn't mean we don't have some snags now and then. It's kind of like dealing with Bam Bam Rubble, where they don't really know their strength. And it's like they try to get in the garage to play with the animals because I have kennels out there. All the dogs are in the house, and I apologize for the barking puppy. I'm puppy sitting my daughter's dog, and she is having a fit because I won't let her where I'm at. And so, there are boundaries, and they wanted to get in the garage because I have mini pigs and their kennel is in there. And so they literally pushed the bottom of the garage door into the point where it bent the wheels off the track.
Oh,
They've totally demolished this door where we don't even put it up and down anymore. It just stays down. And when I did have dogs out there, I would go out the next day and everybody's kennels were open, including the mini pigs, and everybody was running around and playing, and, nobody was hurt, but it was like a freak show. So we've had our moments, and I had the boxes that you wrap up a hose in.
Uh-huh.
They are obsessed with these things, and every
Yeah,
summer
you
I
can
go
hide your
through.
garden hose in it, right?
Yeah, well, you don't hide anything because they play with them until there's nothing left of it. Or I'll go to bed at night, everything's fine. I wake up and my hose is on and my backyard is flooded.
Oh
You
my
know, I mean,
gosh. Oh
they get in,
no.
yeah,
Little
they have fun.
tricksters.
Yeah, they have a good time. But for the most part, they are really good. They don't bother my animals. They absolutely love them. They play with them. We've caught them out in the yard trying to pick them up. You know, or I'll go and I'll check my backyard in the day because they'll throw stuff in the backyard for the dogs. And I just
Wow.
walked through, everything was clear. I walked in the house and I was at the kitchen window like 15 minutes later, and my Great Pyrenees is running around the backyard with a 2x4 in her mouth.
What?
And I'm like, the 2x4 wasn't there 15 minutes before.
Oh,
You know,
it was, I guess Bigfoot was playing chase or
yeah.
go catch or whatever.
They do,
Yes.
but they go to the neighbors and they'll get, like, if anybody leaves their shoes on their back porch or whatever, they'll go and they'll get their shoes, they'll get clothes off their lines or whatever. And I'll wake up and I'll have a stack of clothes on my front porch that's for, you know, nobody that would ever fit that size in my home. And there'll be shoes in the backyard in the fenced in area where the dogs are.
Wow.
And I'm like, appreciate the gesture, guys, but please, before I'm arrested for theft, just please, you know.
You look guilty. They're making you look
I know
suspicious.
it is. It's crazy.
Oh my
so
gosh.
they, you know, they do get into a little bit of things, but nothing that they're trying to be aggressive or, you know, like I said, it's like dealing with Bam Bam Ruttable. The kids especially don't really understand how strong they are.
Yeah.
You know.
I have to acknowledge Davey Crotchcook. Thank you for all your generosity tonight. You have been giving so many super stickers. We appreciate you here at Spaced Out Radio, Davey. Thank you so much. I just wanted to acknowledge you. You've been throwing in super stickers and super chats all night, so thank you. You're awesome. Very awesome. I have acknowledged you. Thank you very much. And also, Derek has a question, Robin.
Sure.
How long was your cat gone when it went into the portal? And when it comes out,
depends.
did
The
it act
first
weird?
time it was 5 days, and I literally watched it go into it. That's how I knew where it had went. I watched it go in there, and the whole area around it looked like an energy wave. He went into it, vanished. We looked everywhere for 5 days, and by then I was like having a nervous breakdown over my cat. And Pat was outside. He's like, "You guys, you better find a way to get this cat back here, or she's going to lose her mind, and there's going to be a major warfare going on, you know." And it was like a couple hours later, and he just appeared. And so most of the time when they've got, because he's a house cat, and they'll call him outside, and he will do whatever he has to do to get out there. And when it happens, generally I get him back before the end of the day, but then he'll go for weeks on end and not even try to get out. So whenever we get a lot of activity with them, that's when he wants out. And he'll come home and he'll be all sticky, like something's been playing with them, and stinky and everything else. So
yeah, cats are able to see things that we can't see as humans.
yeah.
They
he
can see
used
other
to-
dimensions.
In the beginning, he would come back totally terrified. He was always terrified when he came back. Now he's mellow and he's relaxed, and he's like, "Hey, Mom, just been out having a party."
He's
You know?
in a trance. He got.
And
the
you're all
Bigfoot
like, "Why
trance.
does my cat smell like Sasquatch right now?"
Yeah, that's about it, too. That really is
Stinky.
about it.
Historical note: the ancient Egyptians kept cats around temples because they thought they could see spirits and whatnot, and it was their job to help chase them away, or at least point them out.
Yeah,
We have a question in the chat, Robin.
sure.
Jenny Whitebear would like to know about the Bigfoot, or about the Ohio, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I've had a lot of people ask me that. For the most part, they've been okay. They've evacuated, they've gone underground. There are some that have had problems with it and struggled with it. I do healing work on them. So, you know, when they get hold of us, I try to do what I can. That doesn't mean they all know to get hold of me, but the ones that have, I've helped that. There's been a few casualties. I'm not going to lie about it. There has been, but I think primarily they have been relatively safe. You know, their first thing that they did was go underground. Second thing they did was evacuate out of there. So, you know, there are some that didn't want to give up their land, and they've stayed. And, you know, there's probably been, I'm sure, some repercussions from that. But for the most part, I think overall, the majority of them have been okay.
And that's in regard to the chemical spills, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and don't forget that went into basically the headwaters of the Ohio River, which feeds into the Mississippi, and all of those nice dioxins.
Yeah, it's going to be a
going
chain
down the
reaction
river.
for sure.
And we already warned the Sasquatch way down in the southern part of the Mississippi River, don't drink out of the damn river. So they've already been warned.
Fish out of there, and so they had to be warned that you look out, you can't eat the fish anymore there. You
Nope.
can't. My computer here doesn't want to stay holding still. The Sasquatch play with the animals you have. Yes, they actually do. I personally have never had a problem with them hurting any of my animals. When I had my pony, they played with my pony constantly. They braided its mane, and that went really well. They've never hurt one of my dogs. They've never hurt one of my cats. I used to have an animal rescue, so I have 3 pens in my front yard that are like 10 by 12, whereas South Carolina has a terrible feral cat issue. So as I tame the feral cats down, I catch them, put them in the pen for boys or for girls so we don't have any more babies. And then I end up taking care of them for the rest of their natural lives. And I have these giant buckets in there with food. And these pens are all topped. Like no pine cones can get in these pens. And I will go in there to see if anybody needs food. And all the cat food is gone. And the buckets are filled with pine cones. So
Pine cones? Well, they just had to repay you.
Yeah, exactly. And then I have bowls that I put on my porch.
Cats love eating pine cones, obviously.
Yeah, and then I
delicacy. Who knows?
Bowls on my porch because some of the ferals won't let me touch them yet. And so I have bowls on my porch. I go through like 50 plus pounds of cat food every week. It's ridiculous. And the last 2 weeks, it's been even more than that because every time I turn around, all the bowls are empty, including the water bowls. And pine cones are left instead. And we've had more than one person where they are sitting in my living room because I have these big glass windows around my front door. You'll see a black head of one of the kids through the glass window as it's taking cat food off the porch.
Oh my God. Well, it's got to peek in their window to make sure you're not looking.
Yeah, once in a while we'll see a doorknob turn, but they've never, they haven't walked through it. So.
Robin has a closed circuit camera picture of one of the kids sitting on the porch, stealing the food out of the dish, eating it.
Yeah, it's a
That's
riot.
Been on my show. Yeah.
Yeah. All my photos and all this stuff, if you go to World Bigfoot Radio, they're on there because I always, Duke's the first one I send them to, and then we put them up on different shows, including the video of the UFO. In fact, my son-in-law is actually the one that took the video of the UFO from my front porch and then sent it to MUFON. And MUFON said it was a class 1 sighting, definitely not terrestrial. And yeah, it was confirmed that it was not. So I also took stills from it, and those are also on World Bigfoot Radio as well. Some of it you can see the coloration in the windows, and it started out as one, and then another one came out the back end of it. It was crazy.
That video is easy to find. I've got a playlist called World Bigfoot TV, and it's the first one on the playlist.
Very nice. Area 51, we are live and direct. Yes. I know it's a shocker. Jessica Jones, the cryptid huntress, is sitting in for Dave Scott tonight. I know. This is not a test. This is real. This is real life.
Yeah. My place is definitely bizarre. On any given day, it doesn't even matter which one. I had somebody stay at my house, and the truth of it is the woo, sorry guys, the woo is real, and it goes on over here all the time. And I had somebody staying in my upstairs bedroom, and they literally looked over and saw one floating because they do levitate, and they were floating, and they were up high looking in the window.
What? Wait, Bigfoot? Yeah. A Bigfoot was floating?
Yeah, they levitate.
Amazing.
Yeah, they 100%.
Some of them can levitate. Let's qualify this, Robin. Some of them are pretty primitive, and the only thing they can do is mind speak. And other ones could do every damn trick in the bag and then some.
They all have the ability to do it all. It depends on if the parents teach them. If the parents don't teach them that they have these abilities, they don't know that they have them, so they don't use them. So it's one of these things that they all have them. It's a matter of whether or not the parents teach them that they have it.
Sure. Well, same thing with us. We can do all sorts of interesting things that we don't think we can do in our trained.
Right.
Here's an interesting example of how certain aspects of woo tend to cross over with other aspects, and it's very hard to tell what exactly you're dealing with. Now, this
Yeah.
happened over at Robin's property. There's an old abandoned shack not too far away from where she lives. And she's already scanned it before. There's no ghost or anything living in it. It's just abandoned house. But these guys got this idea that, hey, abandoned house, let's go ghost hunting. So they got all their gear and they went over there and they spent the night in the abandoned house. And then they came back again, all excited in the morning, went, Robin, all kinds of stuff happened. We got EVP and all kinds of stuff. That was amazing. And Robin's all like immediately suspicious, but very kind, and goes, whoa, wow, that's awesome. I'm glad you had such a great experience and everything. And then Robin gets a hold of her Bigfoot. And then what happens, Robin?
Well, they're like, they're not what they thought they were. You've got all these cryptids running around. You've got spirits running around. And, people, when they do the ghost hunting, they automatically assume it's a ghost. And that turned out not to be the case.
Yeah.
It was
well, basically, short version of this, it took her about 3 or 4 days to pin them all down. Most of them immediately talked back to her and said, no, we had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
And one of the locals suspiciously didn't answer her for about 3 days. And then she finally pinned him down and said, were you over there while they were doing their stuff? Yeah. Did you make the voices appear? Yeah. But they wanted to hear voices.
Oh,
yeah. And it's like, you don't get to tease the silly humans. They call us the hairless humans. And I'm like, quit teasing the hairless human. You're not as funny as you think you are. And they laugh. They've got a wicked sense of humor. I mean, they really do.
Good example of that is me and Robin's mutual friend, researcher X, who has a haunted horse ranch in Florida.
Oh, Lord.
And she's got the Ghostbuster team over there. And they're in one of she has 3 barns, 2 of them are haunted. They're in one of the lesser haunted of the 2 barns. And they got the recording device going, and they've got the little box going, scanning the channels and stuff. And she's filming, and the main ghost guy is going, okay, so other than me and researcher X, is there anybody else here in the barn right now? And you hear all the static, and then you hear horse. Just one word, horse. And then there's more static for a few more seconds, and then it says, and a Bigfoot.
Yeah.
On an EVP?
Yep.
No.
That's also been on my show. I've shown that on my show several times because it's so hilarious. And she starts laughing right away and goes, I told you so.
They've got this bizarre sense of humor. They really do. Yeah. It's a warped sense of humor, but it's a bizarre sense of humor.
Well, they told the truth too. Like the question was, what's here other than the 2 of us? And the answer was horse and a Bigfoot.
Yeah. I mean,
well, who do you think's putting the EVPs on the recorder? The horse?
Yeah. I mean, that's the truth. And we have one that I'm real close with, and he's moved here after I moved from Michigan. And Pat and I are sleeping one night. I wake up at 2:30 in the morning, and I look over, and he's over 10 foot. So he's all crouched down, and he's looking in the window. And I kind of look at him. He just looks at me and smiles. And I woke up Pat, and I'm like, okay, I've apparently entertained him. It's your turn. I'm going back to bed. Like, it happens enough where we don't freak out, which is kind of sad, but then I have people over, and it happens when they're here as well. Like, I can't promise anybody that, that's going to happen when they're here. But most of the time, everybody that's been here at one point or time, they see something.
Wow. I don't doubt that.
When John was here the first time, they scared the living bejesus out of him. I told him, I said, listen, I don't want anybody running in terror. But, do a few things so that they know you're here, make some noise or whatever. And you have to be with these things. You have to be specific. Like, you cannot leave anything to chance. No wiggle room in what you say. And he went out to the car with a friend of his to get his bags. And Manaka, who is a female that has a child named Zerky, and she was in the bushes with Zerky when they pulled in. It was nighttime. She shook those branches like they were going to come out of the ground, scared the crap out of him. He goes in the house scared to death. He goes out on my back porch thinking he's safe out there. And one of the other ones, Shadow, is out there, and he's white, and he drops to the ground and does the belly crawl across the backyard. So now he's freaked out about the backyard. So he comes in the house. He's standing there. He looks over on my staircase, and he sees a ghost, because I've got an older man and I've got a little girl that are here. And by the time he left, he told me he said, when I left, he said, I swear to God, I would never come back to your house ever again, which of course he did, once he calmed down and the blood returned into his brain. But like,
it's not for the faint of heart to experience
never,
things like that. Yeah.
never. The other day I went out because it's been cold at night. We have a heater, and my mini pigs they don't acclimate to climate. The climate acclimates to them.
You have
So
mini pigs? Is that what you're saying? Mini pigs?
Yeah, they're
I
awesome.
bet they're so cute.
Oh, I love them. And they have an air conditioner. We have an attached garage. So they have an air conditioner out there, and they also have a heater because God forbid they not stay at an even temperature of 75 degrees.
Yeah,
so
don't cook properly otherwise.
Exactly. You're so bad.
Pampered.
I'm going to tell him Uncle Duke said that.
Mini hams.
Yeah, I'm going to tell him Uncle Duke said this. And so
They're pampered pigs.
I
like
go
Brussels
out there.
Sprouts mini ham.
Yeah. I go out there in the middle of the night every night to make sure the temperature is comfy for them because I'm an idiot. So I go out there and I checked it. When I went out there, the light wouldn't come on. So I go and I almost break my neck going down the steps. I go down there and I heard something in the garage. Like I heard something run through the garage. And I'm thinking that is way too big to be a mouse. And I'm like, okay, I don't know who you are, but, I'm just checking on the pigs. Be nice. I don't need any issues. And I knew there wasn't anything bad because I couldn't pick up any negative energy. And it went around behind me and it went under the deck because there's a deck that goes out into the garage and then there's 5 steps down. So I go back in the house. I shut the door. I never locked it. I just shut it. I didn't think about it. I go to bed and Pat gets up for work like 2 hours later. He walks out there and the door's completely open as far as it will go. And there's a handprint on the counter.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, if I hadn't shut it and it moved open, to begin with, there was no wind that would have pushed it open, but it would only open a little ways. It's not going to be open as far as it would go. And then, of course, the handprint on the counter just kind of sealed the deal.
Oh my gosh. Robin, Pam in the chat is saying that she saw a Bigfoot crossing Route 7 last summer at the Ohio River.
Yeah. He's okay. He's okay. He went and took his family to the outskirts of Ohio, almost across the border. So, yeah, he'll be okay.
Yeah. Everybody's worried about our Bigfoots out there.
A lot of people are. I've been contacted by a lot of people that are concerned, and they have a good reason to be concerned. I'm sure that there were some casualties in that as there, were with everything else. And now they've got to adjust with the chemicals that are there on top of it for the ones that stayed.
Yeah.
Michael, Dave's not here tonight.
Good thing they have. Yeah, Dave lost his beard entirely and dyed his hair.
Dave is having a good time.
Makeover.
Big makeover.
He's in Vegas, baby.
Dave's wearing a wig tonight.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. That's me. I'm Jessica.
Dave is wearing his Jessica suit.
Yes. One of those masks that I keep seeing, like latex Jessica mask there. That would be terrifying, actually. Don't do that. Let's don't even think of that. That's weird.
Thank you, Steve. Steve Wolf is the sweetest guy. He is always so kind to me. I love it when he's in chat. I absolutely love it. He's the sweetest guy ever. Thank you.
Me and Robin had an experience with a mutual friend of ours that lives in Alaska that came down for a couple weeks to visit.
Yeah.
She first went over to Robin's house for 3 days, and then after about a week, she came over here and went camping with me for 3 days. And when she got back from Robin's house and showed up over here, I said, "Well, what was it like being over at Robin's house?" And she goes, "I now believe that Bigfoot can cloak and that portals exist." And I'm like, okay. So then I took her out camping, and she got to see a gigantic Bigfoot within 100 feet of camp. Just stepped out in the open, let her see him. He was 10'4" and 6 feet across the shoulders, and she was like,
When she first got to my property, I do energy work. So I do the energy walls on the property, and I do the energy bubbles and the healing and all that stuff. And she pulled in the driveway. A friend brought her, and she got out of the car and she said, "What did I just drive through?" And I said, "What are you talking about?" And she's like, "I felt like I went through a wall of some kind. And then after I did, and I got on your property, it was the most calming, warm, loving feeling I've ever felt." And I'm like, "Oh, thank you. You went through my energy wall." So she was here and she kept seeing him out back. And where she was from in Alaska, they were very dangerous there. And she kept saying, yours aren't the kind that eat people, right? And I'm like, no, you could like never. They would never, ever even attempt anything like that. So once she got used to that, she really embraced it. And her and I would go out and sit in the woods, and she would, talk to them, and they would talk to her. And yeah, it was really, she had a good time.
See, she had kind of the same issue when she was here with me, because we weren't in a house. We were camping high in the mountains, the Rocky Mountains, northern Rocky Mountains in Montana. And guess what else is up there? 1,000-pound grizzlies. And she's used to these gigantic bears, even bigger where she lives, that just kind of come into camp and eat you.
Oh my
God.
God.
So she was a little bit paranoid that something like that was going to happen. And after she was there for one day, she goes, there aren't any bears around here, are there? And I'm like, nope. And I go, what made you think that? And she goes, I haven't seen any tracks from them, and there's Bigfoot tracks frickin' everywhere.
They run them off. The one that Duke associates with absolutely adore him, and they will literally tell me if there's a bear around, and then they will run it off. And Amy had a question, and yes, they actually do. They know your intent. They can read your emotions. They can read your heart, and they know your intent even before you tell them. So yes, they do.
Area 51, Juanito, thank you for that super chat again. And Davey Crotchcook, he's saying that it would be fun to have an SOR camping trip. Well, we are having something close to it. We're having the Las Vegas SOR fan party, May the 19th through the 21st. Come join us. I'm going to be there. Okay, that's all I'm saying. Come on. It's a lot of fun. So it's not a real camp out in the woods, but it'll be close. Okay.
Yeah.
In a casino. Yeah. Well, you guys, I think we've come to the end of the hour already. So
yeah, went by quick.
These 3 hours have gone by so fast for me. I'm not even like as tired as I thought I'd be. This is amazing. It's only 3 in the morning. Okay.
That's what it is here too.
Yes. Oh my gosh. This has been amazing. What a great night. I have really enjoyed this. Uh-oh.
Yeah, it's been a lot
Dave
of fun.
Scott, I'm about to take over, buddy.
Yeah. And the guests you had the first 2 hours were wonderful.
Thank you. Those guests were amazing. I couldn't get enough of them. So, and I do believe they're planning to come back soon.
Good.
In the future.
Good.
Yes, absolutely. I got a message from Filthy a while ago. So, yeah. So, Duke and Robin, thank you all so much for being here this last hour tonight.
You're so welcome.
Yeah, I want to thank everybody for the super chats tonight and the super stickers and just for all the support tonight. You guys have been amazing. I'm happy St. Patrick's Day to everyone who celebrate. Hope you all have the luck of the Irish tomorrow or today, whatever time zone you're in. So,
Quick note to everybody before we go on my show this Sunday, I have another Spaced Out Radio on-air personality, Danielle Diva, is going to be back with me for the second time, and we are going to be doing a Conspiracy Corner episode, this time about the Knights Templar. And the second part of that, I will have a historian joining me for it, and that kind of gets into what happened after the Templars, which kind of relates to who's the biggest troublemakers on Earth for the last 700 years. So it won't even be on YouTube. It'll be a Rumble exclusive.
Oh my gosh. Well, we're all going to have to check that out for sure. Absolutely. And Robin, you're doing Scarycast as well too. When do you guys broadcast? Where can people find you?
On Scarycast?
Mm-hmm.
Scarycast, we do have a page on Facebook. However, we are on like iHeartRadio, Spotify, those kinds of things. And it's done by Dr. John Stamey, and he also puts the link on Facebook as well. So
and he's throwing the Georgia Bigfoot Conference.
He is throwing the Georgia Bigfoot Conference.
We'll both be there. So y'all come see Robin and I April
it'll be
1st.
Fun. Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. And anybody that can get to Nebraska, 21st and 22nd of April, come on and join us. We'll have a lot of fun there too. They're both going to be really good conferences. I do these two every year, and we just have an absolute blast at both of them.
Awesome. Do you make special appearances at conferences?
Me?
Yeah, you.
Well, I'm going to be at the Nebraska Bigfoot Conference.
You're going to Nebraska. Amazing.
If they force me to go there and they pay all of my bills to get there and back, and
you don't have a choice, then you have to go.
Yeah.
No, then I have to go. Other than that, I pretty much ignore it. I don't care if it's down the street. I'm just like, no.
We forced him last year, and we're dragging him back, kicking and screaming this year.
Oh my gosh. Well, it sounds like a good time. If I were closer, I would be there and I would go too.
Oh, it's going to be
it's a
amazing.
lot of
Next
fun.
year is going to be amazing too, because they're moving
Next
it
year's
to
going to be huge.
different venue, much bigger. The
Yep.
Nebraska State Fairgrounds. They got a giant venue for it, and some of the guests are really amazing. The real life Indiana Jones, Robert Kreider from Kreider Explorations is going to be there.
Yeah.
Sabila Irwin from Sketching Encounters is going to be there. Blaine Tyler, Canada's greatest Bigfoot researcher, is going to be there.
Nice.
Rich Soul from the Noxagigas Project, who just did a show with me about the science of Sasquatch eye glow, is going to be there. So it's going to be just way kick-ass.
It's going to be good.
Yeah.
And we always do movies. Generally, we have Ron Meyer and Alan McGargle that have a movie release every year. This year, we've also got Pamela Pierce. Her dad is the one that did The Legend of Boggy Creek, and she's remastered it. So it's been digitized. And so we're going to be playing that movie as well.
Awesome. Well, everybody, y'all go check them out. Davey Crotch Kick, thank you for that last super sticker. You are so sweet. Everybody, y'all are the best. This has been quite an experience tonight, and I appreciate every one of y'all. We all appreciate everybody here at Spaced Out Radio. Tomorrow night, I have Travis William Moose Tooth coming on the show. I'm going to be hosting again tomorrow night. And of course, I'll be back Saturday and Sunday on Off the Trails with my show with a couple of amazing guests. You guys are going to be in for another treat. So we'll see y'all tomorrow night. Everybody have a wonderful St. Patty's Day. And if I can
I remembered. I have an Irish last name. Happy St. Patty's Day. This is to commemorate when St. Patrick chased all the snakes out of Ireland, which according to the archaeological and geological record, there were never any snakes in Ireland. So really, he kicked the reptilians out of Ireland, but they got the snakes.
That makes more sense to me.
All right, everybody. We'll see you later.
All right. On that note, y'all have a good night. We'll see y'all tomorrow.
Take care. Bye.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
You need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.